Hello, everyone. What's going on? My name is Timpedia, and welcome back to the TNT podcast. Finally being recorded once again after a hiatus of a week by accident.
1 week hiatus.
I believe
By
we're on.
accident, yeah.
Hey, it's not my fault. UPS decided not to drop off my desk and then didn't call me, and I had to finish assembling my desk and turning on my computer last week at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, someone who works at UPS, it is 100% my fault that happened.
It's all your fault. Who else are we gonna blame, man?
Yeah, right.
Also, Val was applying for a UPS job today and had to deal with a rude person. It's like, that's Freeman's fault again. Freeman told that guy.
Sorry.
Right.
So anyway, we're back. I am living in Ohio now, and the podcast's still the same. Luckily.
Who are you?
I'm Tim from
He
Ohio.
moves away. I forget who he is.
What happened to Timpedia? No, now I'm just Tim from Ohio.
I'm Tim Ohio.
I'm just Tyler.
I'm Tim Ohio.
And
Anyway.
I'm Andrew, but these guys call me Friedman.
Yeah, we have Andrew and Tyler here. Is Freeman and Tyler here, as always.
And
I
that's how we
forgot.
squeeze the
I
intro
forgot
in.
how this. I forgot how this show works. It's been a
We
while.
got
man.
a week.
I've had to spend a lot of money since the last recording session.
It's a real drain on you.
Yes, spending all this money on moving expenses. Yes, you're correct. Anyway, let's get started. So we have a bunch of, well, I guess this is a decent amount of news, but not a ton because
That's a lot of topics, but there's not too much to talk about for each of them.
No, so the first one I can't comment on, but apparently there was a new Game of Thrones Season 7 trailer.
The hype.
If HBO knows how to do one thing, it's this gradual hype building. They have like 3 trailers out now for Season 7. We know literally nothing beyond there's a war and it's getting real cold.
Winter has arrived.
And there's dragons involved.
There's always dragons. And that's the question I always ask. I'm like, how much budget did they put into the dragons this season?
I feel like they put more every season. They get better and better.
They do. I mean, they do gain viewers like every season. I wish they, you know what I wish they did? You guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but like, I remember they were thinking of having their own like HBO Go like standalone service.
Yeah, because everyone wants them to, because no one wants to have to keep paying for stupid
cable and then like that paywall. Yeah, that paywall on top of paywall. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm still bitter.
Oh, about the reduced episode count?
Still no. My thing goes far beyond that, and that's the books.
Oh.
That were way past the books.
This goes way deeper.
This goes way deeper. Like I think I've commented on this show before, so it's like I can't even cite what episode it was. But basically, like, you know, I just feel like we kind of got gypped, and I understand that like George R. R. Martin, I feel this is like his second shot at, you know, making the show or like retelling his story to make it better. But I feel like he could have at least given
like
us
a detail change or something.
Huh?
What, you mean like a detail change that he wanted to implement? Or what
that's what it feels like to me, at least, because we haven't heard of anything about Wynn since, oh god, I think like a year or two ago, and he's like, oh yeah, I promised to bring it out. It's gonna be out before the next season of Game of Thrones, which was last year. You know, and he promised that maybe 3 or 4 more times before that, and it never happened. I'm like, you know what?
Luckily, I have other books, or actually, my reading output has gone down a lot because I no longer read at my job.
Right.
She'll do real work.
Yeah, you hear that?
Actually,
Tim's last job, he was reading on the job.
Yeah, work manuals.
Yeah, reading work manuals. So many.
Yeah, really.
So many
my Kindle was full of them. My manager actually saw my Kindle sitting on my desk at one time and asked me about it, but I don't think he. Well, I don't really care.
I'm reading up.
Yeah, it's a PDF viewer.
Considering they asked me to come back and do work for them on the side of my new job, I think they don't care.
Yeah, I feel like, probably because everybody else is garbage. That's probably what it comes down to.
Not even wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
you hear that?
No. Now I'm actually.
No!
Now it's actually all right, second topic. We had an E3 topic that apparently we missed.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was a thing until like the trailer. Like I saw the trailer for it last week, and I just put it on here because I'm kind of stunned. I thought Atari was dead. But the Atari box the new home console has been announced, and we don't really know what it is yet.
Wait, is it actually new games? It's not just like
Well, that's
No
the
one
thing.
knows.
NES remake or whatever.
That's what people are speculating, that it might be like, an NES SNES Classic type deal.
Yeah.
Which I think this is a good segue into that instead of having that at the end, actually.
Oh boy.
Well, if we kind of put these in chronological, we'll bump that up. But real quick, I don't like their naming scheme. I feel like they're going after the Xbox with this.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, the baby.
I'm pretty
box.
sure the Ataribox is just a retro thing. Why else would you use the name Atari? It's not really a major name anymore for new stuff. They haven't isn't it a name that like Atari shut down? It's kind of like the THQ situation now, where another company bought it and now kind of just is calling stuff Atari.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. One of the other video game giants, they don't really name their products. I don't buy a 3DS. I buy a Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah, but that's an old school thing. You don't buy a Microsoft Xbox or Sony PlayStation.
But you do buy the Nintendo Switch.
Yes, and it's like Atari, but I think I think Atari could easily, whoever owns the Atari stuff now, could easily have seen last winter how insanely successful the NES Mini was and just done the same thing with Atari.
Yeah, that might be
Nintendo.
the new thing.
Probably.
If I remember correctly, we've talked about, if not, probably not on the podcast, but together, about how Nintendo seemed to have no idea how successful the NES Mini would be, which probably means the SNES Mini was not that far along when it was announced, when the NES Mini came out, which would imply that Atari had plenty of time to make their own dumb side console.
Right. And people are going to buy it.
All they have to do is look at the complaints from the Nintendo console and put super... Like, those old Atari games are so small. Nintendo, if they actually wanted to, could put so many more games on those things than they are.
Yeah, they've been pretty limited.
They limit themselves. But that's the thing. I think they knew. I think they low-key knew, in my opinion, or at least it's low-key to us. But it's a secret to all of them. Legend of Zelda reference.
Oh my god.
Sort of. But yeah, like, I think they knew it was going to be successful. Right? And it's just like, well, we're just going to make it a limited thing just to make it a limited thing. Because they could have, like you said, they could have easily cranked these things out, and they could have easily put hundreds of NES games on there that they have the IPs to, the rights to.
That's fair, but that's not even really germane to what I'm saying. I think Atari has enough time to throw a concept together and get it ready for a big E3 reveal for a dumb little retro box of their own.
That's a thing. I feel like there might be like a little too much going into this. Like, Nintendo didn't overhype the NES Classic; they just kind of put it out there. Whereas, like, that trailer was
just kind of put it out there.
It was a little too cryptic for just an old game retro console.
At this point, we're not even talking about.
Plus, it was at E3.
Well, that too. That's why I mean, that makes it seem like a bigger thing. But honestly, do you think someone with the Ataribox is going to start challenging the Xbox and PlayStation?
No.
Exactly.
Hey, we were convinced there was that one like gaming streaming box that was going to fight everyone like 5 years ago, and it flopped super hard.
Yeah, but that at least had a different idea.
Yeah.
Oh, Ouya, the thing I bought for too much money on Kickstarter.
Oh, you own one?
Bought it? Whoops.
It was supposed to be engraved with my name, and then I sold it because it wasn't.
Damn.
No, I sold it because it was terrible.
I don't blame you.
No, I was thinking of that OnLive thing. Remember they were putting on their own box at one point?
Yeah,
that's right.
I feel like...
I do remember that.
Honestly, I don't really...
That's why I waited. That's why I waited for that.
I think regardless of... I think I actually hope it's a retro thing. I think Nintendo has showed you could do something really cool with that, and I don't think it's worth getting into game development. I think for really little, like, hire 3 programmers and a bunch of design people to make the box look cool, and then you just... That's it. You just
almost all of your
run a bunch of
costs is just the plastic injection molding. It takes very little to emulate these things.
Yeah.
I have a PSP that can run literally everything we've talked about from these retro game consoles.
Yeah, you can.
And I think it's really not that expensive to
emulating
manufacture
anything.
From the electronic side.
Emulating anything like GameCube, Xbox, PS2, and up is pretty tough. But before that's really easy, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And then if you go past like N64, PlayStation 1, then it gets super easy. Like SNES, NES, all that stuff has been emulated so many times before.
Yeah,
It's insane.
I mean, just think about it too. Like, you got people like me. I mean, sorry, some people I know out there that make the RetroPie stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's so
man, who
easy.
would go and do that?
Yeah, who would ever go and do that? I don't know who would do that. But I mean, hypothetically speaking, I've looked at this stuff online, and I'm like, man, I could possibly do it. Wink, wink.
No, it'd be really cool. You know what I really wish? I wish Atari would come out with their Ataribox, and it's a retro console, but it's like the old consoles where you stuck attachments on. And they sell you kind of like a mainline box, and they have the module for the Atari 2600 on release. And then later on, they come out with other Atari modules that you plug into the thing. That'd be sick.
It would be a cool idea, but then you fall into the pitfalls of Actually, no, you wouldn't. So one of the big issues with the Sega Genesis was how many add-ons they kept releasing to extend the life of it, but if you got your games bundled with your add-ons, that shouldn't be an issue then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like you get Duck Hunt, right? Or in any other like light gun games with the attachment.
You sell the light gun attachment. You sell the.
Oh, you sell the controller, but it has all the games with it. So that way you're guaranteed to.
That'd be cool.
At least have what you need.
Just have the games in the controller, like those dumb Walmart things. They're like $5.
Yeah, dude. That's how you can do it.
Anyway. Does that also count as talking about the SNES Classic? Not really.
No, we still gotta talk about that one.
Let's switch over to that topic.
Yeah, we can just real quick. I guess because the only other thing that we can talk about is that they're also releasing. Well, the fact that it's $80 is absolute horseshit.
Oh, it's BS.
I'm gonna tell you right fucking now. That's bullshit. For 21 SNES
Tyler,
games.
I have bad news.
Fuck out of here. What?
They're still gonna sell out immediately.
I know. That's why I'm thinking of buying some.
But here's the
That's
thing.
why I'm thinking of buying some. Right?
Here's the
I was
thing.
telling what.
But the SNES release is making very obvious to everyone is Nintendo doesn't want to put all these games on because they still haven't finished putting out all these SNES games on the Virtual Console,
You're
which
correct.
is the eternal Nintendo cash grab that's going to keep them in the business for the rest of eternity. And if you just look at this game list, like they're missing so much good shit from this list.
But
yeah.
This list is really solid though.
But they're
a lot of good
releasing
games,
Star Fox 2 though.
How many of the
want
Donkey
Star
Kong
Fox
Country
2?
games are in there? Only
lot.
one? Only one.
In there? Oh, you're talking about on the you know how many Super Mario
SNES
games that they're not adding on? You know how many other
Didn't like Super Mario
classic
World
ass
have
games?
every other Mario game in it?
That special Super Mario cartridge. I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was the one to own.
That one, because that was one of the first times that North Americans could buy the original version of 2.
Super Mario World, Lost World, or Super Mario Brothers Lost Levels, whatever they called it in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. Like, it does have bangers, but at the same time, why would I care about any of this? Because I have a RetroPie.
The fact that
that's why Star
Fox
Fox 2 is happening.
Yeah, what?
But you could get Star Fox 2 like right now, technically.
Oh, that's right, because some people ripped it and released it.
It wasn't ever finished, right?
No.
What if they finished it?
Finished. That would be something to consider then. Also, Earthbound, a working version of Earthbound.
That's true too.
In English.
Yeah.
I do have to make that point because if you get a cracked version of Earthbound, there is a chance, and it's a good chance that it might be broken when you get to a certain part in the game.
You're talking about the original Earthbound?
So hard if
the original Earthbound.
They have that I think it's on 3DS and the Wii U has a virtual console now.
Oh, do they have it now?
Yeah, they've had it for a while.
Oh, I never knew. Well, then there you go. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You don't need this unless
you
you
don't
really
need
want.
Unless
you want a possible complete Star Fox 2.
Or you just don't want to do your own Raspberry Pi thing. You just want to buy something that plugs into the TV.
Want those legit controllers with short ass cables like last time?
Well, I mean, you can get all those though. You can like the Raspberry Pi goes into the TV.
I know, but you have to do work.
No, you don't.
Most people don't know how to do this.
Tyler, you have to do work.
You have to do you have to do work.
If I ask you what do I have to do and it's more than one word, I'm not going to listen.
If it's more than click the Amazon button, too much.
I mean, I can make it happen. So that someone,
Tyler, should we do a test where you tell me how much money it'll cost you, and then I'll Venmo you that plus $5? for labor.
Yeah, I mean, if you maybe
The get rich quick scheme here.
That'll be
Here
my.
it comes.
Oh my god, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll have
Release the not so Super Nintendo Classic.
it's just
possible.
It's just a board that has ports on it that Tyler
I mean,
solders on that you have to plug in. And
Tim,
it just sits
Like
there.
a sticker with
You
Tyler's
do
face
have a
on it.
3D. You do have like a 3D printer.
no.
Not right now.
Oh, are you still missing the piece for it?
No, it's at home waiting to be I need to talk to my dad about shipping it back to the company because I didn't bring it, and they don't have any in stock. So I literally don't know if I'm ever going to have a 3D printer again.
Hold on, real quick. I just got an email from Nintendo saying they're shutting down our podcast.
Yeah, right. We talked about it way too much. Yeah, we're gone.
Freeman, I legitimately thought you were serious for a minute. I was like, oh, guys, I just got an email. I thought it was going to be like cool news or something. Nintendo's shutting us down.
Nah, I'm just gonna shit post real quick.
Can I segue into like some minor Nintendo hate?
Sure.
Like
Go for
I
it.
love Nintendo, but man, they literally shit on everything that's like not having it. Like even if people are just doing it for the shit of it, they're not like selling it or anything like that. And I can understand it's like their thing, but holy hell.
Tyler, you just reminded me. So I was listening to some old Giant Bomb casts from last week from E3 when I was moving because at work, the one advantage of not interacting with people all day means I have 7 hours of listening time every day. Spent a lot of time on my Comedy Pandora station today trying not to laugh out loud, but I was listening to some of the Giant Bomb stuff from E3, and they were talking about looking at the new Metroid that's like 2.5D.
Oh yeah.
And one of the guys was referencing that they're like, when has there ever been a good Metroid 2 game version? And then one of them mentions that fan-made Metroid 2 game.
Damn.
It's like, oh wait, that got shut down by Nintendo, right?
Everything good. Pokemon Uranium got shut down.
Yo,
like,
I should play
super
that.
soon.
I don't want
to.
to.
Current stance
you guys-
on the Mother 3 release was, but that pisses me off.
You guys
They'll shut down
keep
the
talking
English
about.
translation and
You
have
guys
no
are all
plans to
playing
release it.
Pokemon these days. I should play my own Pokemon game. I'll play frickin' Uranium, man.
Jeez.
I'm gonna
Do
do
it, man,
it
it's
right.
good.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Maybe I can convince Leslie to get it too.
I can give it to her.
Po-
Yeah, that's
wait.
right, Nintendo. I have a
Wait.
copy of it.
Wait, Pokemon Uranium got
Guys,
shut
I just
down.
got another email from Nintendo.
I am not. Yeah, I'm not distributing for money, Nintendo. Fuck off. You know what they also had? Nintendo. I have this too.
They have a
I have all this
Nuzlocke
shit that you don't
mode.
want.
Oh,
Yeah,
Leslie's
dude.
definitely gonna play this. They have a Nuzlocke
Oh my
mode.
God, fuck Nuzlocke. I can't
Nah,
do this
do you
anymore.
guys know? Did you guys hear? It's like a really small project. Like the minute it was like announced, like Kotaku like did like a thing on it.
And then Nintendo
It
shut
was
it down.
shut down. It was a Legend of Zelda map maker. This guy did.
Oh,
That's cool.
There was someone was doing like 2D Breath of the Wild or something like
Really? No, it wasn't.
That got
This
shut
was
down
like
on Wii.
years ago.
Well,
This
seeing
thing
a
I was
pattern
talking
here.
about. Well, yeah,
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
bullshit though. Like I don't understand why these people got to have cease and desist. They're not selling it.
Pokemon Uranium is its own thing. I don't even need an installer. Anyway, we're not talking about
No,
this
you
on the
don't.
podcast.
that. I mean, that's the problem. Nintendo has like what 6, 7 IPs they regularly milk, and they don't
Yeah,
want to
exactly.
let anyone else get a hold of that sweet nostalgia money.
Yeah.
And my problem is, why not? Like it's like okay, so you see these guys, this small dev team, right? And this goes for all the other like game companies. Like, why don't you give them jobs? If you don't want them to make it this bad, why don't you take their
Didn't
like buy their
Capcom
IP?
do a thing like that?
Yeah, they did that for. Oh no, I know Sega did. I know Sega did for Sonic.
No, it was, I'm not thinking of that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, I mean,
Let's
I'm
go on to
saying
another
that's what
topic.
I
We're going
recall.
way off topic now.
Yeah, I want to talk about Capcom. They make me angry.
Let's talk about
Well, I
Magic
mean,
the Gathering.
I brought that up, so I'm sorry. Because I wanted to go on my mild fucking anger rant. I still love Nintendo, but man, they do some fuck shit.
I love them, but I hate them.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about Magic the Gathering
Just
for
like
2
Wizards of
seconds.
the Coast.
But
I know
I
we
don't remember what
talked.
the last spoiler we talked about was.
Well, we talked about the leaks and everything
That's
right before I
on our
left
stuff
Ohio.
episode.
But we've been getting Hour of Devastation spoilers for the last week and a half, and tomorrow and Friday are the last 2 days. Well, day this comes out Thursday, and Friday are the last 2 days for spoilers for Hour of Devastation, and then hopefully next weekend Val and I can go to a pre-release. for the
That'd
first
be
time.
cool.
But yeah, there are some interesting cards in this set. Some really cool stuff, and then a lot of stuff that's not gonna. Well, I don't know. Every set is like, oh, look at this card, look at this card, look at this card, and then like 5 things make an impact outside of standard.
There's 2 things I've seen so far in Amonkhet that I think are interesting. Not necessarily like game-breaking cards, but interesting in terms of how Wizards is designing the set. The first is they definitely toned up the power on some of the sorceries they have.
Yeah.
The entire cycle of the different hours, which are all plot-based. For anyone who's in the know, Hour of Devastation is like the 6th or 7th
Oh, I
hour
got you.
in plot. So each of the hours has their own
Card.
sorcery tied to it, or card. And they're all pretty solid effects. Like
one of them is. 2 of them are.
Cool enough.
Okay,
anyway,
one of them is busted, one of them is good, one of them is okay, and one of them is pretty useless. One of them is only standard, everything else could be commander.
Point is they're interesting. They're interesting. They're making story cards that aren't super pushed, but they're, interesting enough that when I open them, like, oh, look at this.
Side note, did you see the Reddit post today where someone who works at a bookstore got the art book early and spoiled the entire rest of the plot line?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read it.
Ah, shit. I don't want to know.
You sure?
I actually like reading the stories every week.
I do too, but I know.
All right, fine. Spoil it. Does the Red God live in the end?
Wow,
Spoilers,
yes.
everybody.
All right, spoilers.
No, actually, so Tyler, there is a card that gave that away. There's a cycle of cards that have a pretty strong effect, but they don't let your lands untap next turn. And they had spoiled all but the red one before today. And they all said whatever god, because there's a god for every color. It's like god name last and then whatever their thing is. Except the red one came out today, and it's the red god's Undying Fury. So that kind of already gave away that the red god doesn't die. But yeah, the guy confirmed that the red god survives and basically leads the shattered remnants of Amonkhet after Nicol Bolas just fucks it all up.
Oh shit.
But another spoiler, Freeman, I'm going to ruin it for you.
Is this the story spoiler? Yeah,
no, related to the defeat cards, because we do know that the Gatewatch gets crushed, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
No one dies.
I haven't heard anything about this. Figures.
I mean, you didn't think anyone would.
I was kind of thinking maybe Gideon, but he's also got that indestructible aura shit going on.
Here's the thing. So we already knew Jace was alive and on Ixalan.
Yeah.
Because of those things that we talked about in the podcast, like those leaks. And apparently the guy described Bolas crushes Jace's mind. He goes vegetable and planeswalks. Somehow he's going to be fine, obviously, because he has a card. Lily uses the Chain Veil, and then he chases her off. Nissa loses, Chandra loses, and then Gideon is the last one, and he leaves too, because Bolas is killing him through his indestructibility.
Yeah.
So they basically all get beat, and they all run away individually, so it's kind of like, oh, the Gatewatch is shattered, we gotta pick up the pieces for 2 years.
Does Nissa end up sticking around on Amonkhet, or does she leave? Because some of the
He didn't specifically say...
trying to revive the plane.
He didn't specifically say, actually. He only specifically said everyone but her planeswalked, so I can't answer that one way or another.
Okay.
Anyway.
But there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of like what I think is cool about the design of Hour of Devastation. When they first started showing up cards, a lot of cards cared about you having deserts. And they started putting ones that, they're not amazing, but they're not terrible. Like, if I was in Standard, it'd be a cool time to be brewing some kind of desert interaction deck.
There is a monocolored desert, 2 monocolored deserts for each color. And there's other utility deserts. There's like 3 utility deserts, and then 2
for each color. There's one that cycles, one that has an activated ability where it's not sacrifice.
It's sacrifice any desert.
You could build an entire mana base out of deserts right now. They have a colorless one that lets you exile a creature for 2 and tap it, which you can use to save yourself from being removed, and then later you can,
as long as the land doesn't die, you can bring it back.
Sack it and bring back stuff you exiled.
There's also a desert that basically is a what's it called? Relic of Progenitus without the draw for 2 mana. There's even a desert that turns itself into a creature. Right? So there is now a colorless man land, which is cool.
Just dangerous. They were afraid of doing that since Mutavault, but I think it's not as oppressive as Mutavault.
I mean, you have to exile a card from your own graveyard, which isn't a huge cost, but it's something.
it's a non-zero cost. But
yeah, and
I
it's
do
also
like
2
that
mana instead of 1.
Wizards is going all in on it's essentially the new card type deserts. We saw a little bit of this with when they added clues to Shadows over Innistrad. Again, with adding vehicles, Wizards is playing around with adding subtypes to existing cards and having sets focus heavy on interactions with those cards in the set.
Yeah,
and I
it's
think
really
this is
cool.
a good answer to stuff like Splice into Arcane was them trying to do that with instant sorceries, and they were like, whoa, that's way too parasitic. It doesn't work with anything else.
Yeah, so
Whereas,
they're kind of. I mean,
yeah,
but
a
on
lot
the
of
other
these-
hand, they already had energy last set.
Yeah, energy you could argue is parasitic, but the thing is, a lot of the cards that used energy either provided themselves or they functioned on their own. You didn't need to be explicitly playing energy to utilize an individual card.
Yeah.
And that was the problem with Arcane. You had to be playing a bunch of Arcane stuff to get advantage. But
anyway, we will move on from Hour of Devastation. We'll probably give our thoughts on the set as a whole next week once we have the final few cards spoiled. But we have most of the mythics and stuff already. So, but next week we'll check in one more time, and then we'll probably be out of Magic news until whatever's next. But anyway, moving on.
God,
This is
that
news for the two of you.
All right, I'm excited about this one because I love this game. So, Final Fantasy 15 is still in its 1 year of DLC period where, it's really not that expensive. You pay like $20 and they're giving you like 6 DLC packs. The first one, episode Gladiolus, came out a couple months ago. It was okay. It was basically they tweaked the gameplay mechanics based on one of the side characters in the main campaign. So the first DLC, Gladio's like the greatsword users. They had a more aggressive combat focus. And they finally showed off the gameplay trailer for episode Prompto, which I don't know if it came out today or yesterday, but it's this week is the release period.
No, I think it came out yesterday.
It came out yesterday. I have to actually go download it because those downloads are massive.
So wait, you bought the season pack though?
I bought it day of because I had heard about episode. It wasn't episode Gladio. They had announced at release. They announced there were going to be individual character packs, and the last one's going to be like some kind of multiplayer thing. And at release, it was only like $20 to upgrade, and I'm like, all right, let's do the math real quick. I'm like, that's like $3 ish, $3.50 for DLC. I paid more than that for 13.2, and 13.2, like the DLC, there were fun boss fights, and if you beat the boss, you got them as a team member, and they weren't like inherently busted, but they were really good. So I bought they priced them. It was like between $5 and $10 for DLC for that game, and I was like, nah, I wouldn't pay that much. But at $3.50, I'm like, you know what? I would do that. Anyway, the real thing we're talking about here is the episode Prompto gameplay trailer. And I was expecting it to be first-person shooter-esque, because in the game, Prompto is, the gunman of the team.
He's shooter.
And they showed it off, and for a second, I thought I was watching Metal Gear Solid gameplay, because it takes this over-the-shoulder shooter, third-person shooter kind of approach, and it looks really solid. Like, for anyone who's played Final Fantasy 15. I won't give too many details, but Prompto's gameplay takes place in, which essentially seems like this factory that's creating mechanized soldiers, and so there's a lot of soldiers looking for you. I doubt they're gonna have any kind of stealth mechanic to it, but it is a lot of these, grenade launcher, blow up the enemies. Actually, no, they did have one hiding sequence, so this might just literally be Metal Gear Solid Final Fantasy 15. But as a Metal Gear Solid fan, I'm psyched for it. I really like the gameplay tweaks they do. If you watch the trailer, it does jump in and out of being a third-person shooter back into, Final Fantasy 15's active battle system. Overall, pretty solid. And then we were going to talk about this last week, but since this came out, they released the first teaser for I believe it's the third. It's the third character DLC. I don't know what they're doing after that one, but it's for your other team member Ignis, Iggy. The trailer didn't show anything other than him. He's on the ground surrounded by soldiers, and the main villain 15 is standing over him, kind of giggling. So he's fucked. People have a general idea of what part of the game this is supposed to take place in, but I'm curious what they're going to do.
No!
Yeah,
I can't.
For anyone who's played the game, you have a good idea of when this happens.
No, I'll cry.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it, man.
I don't want to see what happens, but at the same time, I gotta know.
It. I can't, man.
Is actually the best character.
I'm gonna cry. I'll vomit. Do you want me to vomit, Friedman?
I'm really hoping the DLC is just he passes out and it's just a dream about him cooking, and then it's just a cooking DLC minigame.
I just want. No, I'll take the cooking. I'll take Cooking Mama's Cooking Cook-Off with Iggy. I'll take it, man.
Just to not relive
Whatever.
the suffering.
I don't want to.
I don't want to cry anymore.
When I saw that scene, I was like, "Oh my god, what did they do to my sweet child? What did they do to you, those sick bastards?"
The worst part is the scene where they, like, when you find out what happens to him, like, a ton of really bad shit just happened, and you're like, okay, this is pretty sad, and then Iggy walks in, and you're like, oh no, what have I done?
Oh no. Oh god, what have I done? Oh no.
Oh my god.
Dude, you don't understand the pain. You don't understand the pain, Tim.
Yeah, Final
Apparently.
Fantasy 15 was suffering.
Oh my god.
That game was so much like I played that game so much more for the bromance than I ever did for the game.
Honestly, I did like every single side quest just to hear the characters constantly talking and bickering and road
Right.
trip nonsense, and
It was good, man.
I liked 15. Anyway, that's
When
enough
the
about
light
the DLC.
has come and the moon is full.
Oh my god. Tyler, why?
I can't.
Darling,
Please stand.
by me.
Oh my god.
Oh, man. Yo, after I beat that game, I just had that Florence and the Machine song like on repeat the rest of the day crying.
Yeah, I played the opening
Not
sequence of the
physically,
game
but
I had on
holy
repeat
shit.
that week.
I fucking couldn't, man. It was Florence and the Machine all week. Just that one song.
Anyway,
Anyway,
half hour in, still got topics to go.
So we were a little positive about that one. Let's get salty for the next one. Tyler,
Let's
you
get
want to talk about
salty.
this?
dude, what the hell, man? Blizzard is doing this shit again and I don't like. And they're talking about pairing up with Twitch. And if you get a Twitch account, which coincidentally, if you have a Amazon Prime account,
Yeah.
you also get a Twitch Prime account. And if you link your Blizzard account with your Twitch Prime account, you can get a legendary box, which is a guaranteed legendary in it.
Ooh.
And it's only one box. It's only,
one guaranteed legendary.
They've already had 2 million people do it.
Which could be a dupe, which is the bullshit. It's a dupe.
Oh, but it
could
can?
totally be a dupe. Yeah, it can. Of course it can.
All right,
You
hold
gotta
on.
try anyway.
So they had this big discussion last week about how much negative feedback they got about how many dupes people were getting during the last event legendary.
Yeah, they changed it. They're changing
Jeff is on.
it now.
I know in the PTR they already changed it so you get less dupes, but any dupes you get are worth more gold. Because the original
Yeah.
system was based around you get a shit ton of dupes, and then you just buy what you want. And they realized people don't
Like
like that.
Hearthstone.
Like Hearthstone.
Yeah, like Hearthstone, like they do with every other, Blizzard loot box system they have now. But so we discussed in the past that Blizzard kind of advertises every single one of their products using every single other one of their products, and kind of gets you to play just because there's this loot
This
on the
thing,
end of the stick
yeah.
that you want to chase because, oh man, it's so little effort. I just need to play. Here's the shit for 30 levels.
Heroes of the
Heroes of the
shit.
And
Shit.
bam,
Wow.
I can be pro Genji.
Going
And
really heavy.
you can be pro Genji.
And I'm
It
saying
didn't
this is someone who
matter
actually
because
enjoys
Kamen
playing Genji.
Rider
Come on.
fucking Genji
Beat it.
came out like 2 weeks later.
Power Ranger
Kamen
Genji.
Rider.
I still gotta
Kamen
play
Rider.
Japanese Genji just to be weeby as possible. But
Right.
we've said this in the past. This is Blizzard's strategy. They get you to keep playing their stuff, or they give you little incentives to do stuff like link to Twitch. That way, before you know it, you're automatically streaming Overwatch whether you wanted to or not.
Yep.
Like this is Blizzard's future idea of media blitz.
I mean,
Yeah, man,
it
it's
started with Amazon
wild.
Prime and Twitch Prime together, so
Yep. And now I'm like, and it's kind of interesting because now I wonder how many games are gonna or companies are gonna follow this business model. Like how many are gonna start bleeding into stuff like that and start giving you more incentives.
So apparently what's going to happen is now Amazon is going to partner with Activision Blizzard and form a conglomerate company. I don't know.
Yo, man,
no.
I see it.
There
I
has to
see
be
it, you know-
something. Those two companies have kind of interacted at this point because how else
They
would
have.
Blizzard do this?
The day the world ends is when Blizzard, Disney, and Google
Oh,
all
my
combined.
God.
Oh, and Comcast.
Yeah. That,
And then
that-
who? Oh, and Tencent to make the Devil Star. Tencent.
Oh my God, the pentagram. Yeah.
The fucking pentagram. Tencent, Comcast. Yeah, all of them. All they have to do is just get together, and they're gonna rule the world. It's gonna be fucking terrible.
That's gonna be awful.
Oh hey, look what time it is.
Is it time for weeb shit?
It sure
It's
is.
time for Weeb
There's
shit.
so much.
And
Yeah.
we have a special guest for Weeb shit this week. Tyler, welcome aboard to help me complain about everything going on in the world of
Wait, I can
shitty
contribute one
Japanese
thing
Yo,
to Weeb.
thanks.
Hold on,
Thank
hold
you
on.
for
I can throw in
what?
one topic, one side note. That
What you
Dragon
got?
Ball Z fighter looks sick.
Oh, the 2D
Bruh.
fighter game.
That 2D fighter looks
gonna be
real
good.
freaking good.
ArcSys Games always does good 2D fighters. Like
Any
if anyone
DBZ
played the
game-
BlazBlue series, or I think they previously
No.
did Guilty Gear.
Yeah, they
All
did
these
Guilty
like,
Gear.
2D style games, they always look really good. Like it looks like something out of the show.
Apparently,
And-
also the game is 20% done.
Really?
That's the podcast I was listening to the other day, last week, kept saying, yeah, according to their original announcement, the game's 20% done, and it looks like what it looks
Wow.
like right now.
Oh yeah, because they do have an actual plot to work with. One of the things I don't like about their fighting games is the plot games are absolute trash and I can't follow them. Whereas with the DBZ fighting games, it's usually, hey, you already know what's going on because you've seen DBZ.
Hey,
They're
it's
usually
a
pretty easy to
tournament.
follow. Hey, it's the Ginyu Force. You have to beat all five. Oh, it's Frieza.
It's Frieza.
No, but the fact that like the stage gets destroyed as you fight and the moves all look really, really good.
Mm.
It looks
Yeah,
like
it
it's
might be good.
it looks true to form. Anyway, go on with your actual Weeb stuff.
No, that's fine. No, it looks
I wanted
good.
to throw in some Weeb.
Yeah. Yo, fucking Berserk. The manga's going on hiatus again.
The dirty word for manga, hiatus.
The hiatus. And you know what? I shouldn't be mad. For all intents and purposes, I shouldn't be mad. I shouldn't be mad. Like, other people have been following Berserk for, almost 20 years. Because I came in late. I came in late in the game. But yeah, it's on hiatus. And the worst part, though, I think everybody is upset about it because it's getting to the climax. Like, you can tell
Oh my
that
God.
the story is reaching the end. Like, they're about to come to conclusion with one of like the characters in the story, and then probably after that is gonna be like the big old fight probably.
Did it like end on like a dip to the current plotline? Like it obviously probably hasn't ended what they're currently doing, but was it a dip or was it just kind of like this random like, oh, we're on hiatus?
We're on hiatus. It's literally that. Like they're
Those are
about
the
to get to
worst.
the end. Like they made it to this island, right? Like I'm not gonna try to spoil it, but like they made it to this place they've been trying to get to, and then once they get there, then it was on hiatus for like a couple months, and then they came back, and they're like, oh, we're gonna do the thing that Guts has been wanting to do for like ever, and then so they're getting in the middle of doing it, and they're about to reach the end of this arc, and it's on hiatus. And I'm like, wow, that's
really
fucked.
annoying.
That's fucked. That's literally, it's at the end. Like, we get taste of, like, I was like, how come readers can't even get that closure? Like, at least give us the closure and then go on hiatus. But no, they're just gonna fucking.
Did they just say it's on indefinite hiatus, or did he give like
no,
a time frame?
oh, till the winter. Sorry. Yeah, it's gonna come back
That's not terrible.
to like back in November or some shit.
That's
like
not terrible. They just
Project
want to. They
Hunter
just want
never
to. They
know
just
what's
want a
coming
few
back.
months of off.
Yeah, but when you're coming out with like a chapter bi-monthly,
Look, dude,
like
I
that's
get it. I'm just
when
saying.
chapters typically come out, what, Freeman, like every
So for
every month
most
or something? How
manga,
does it
most
work?
manga is weekly. Something like Naruto, One Piece, those are all weekly releases, but they have shorter chapters. Then you
Mm.
have a lot are monthly, like Attack on Titan. If anyone's watched D Gray Man, those were all monthly releases, and they typically have
Yeah.
it's double the length of what you get from a weekly, but usually it's a little higher quality. It's usually better drawn just because the author has double the time to work on it. With
Mhm.
the I guess bi-monthly, the twice a month, so every other week. I don't actually know what it is in terms of length. You can either have the same length as a weekly release, but usually with better drawing. And I know, Berserk's their art is insane. There's so much detail that goes into just these individual panels that it's probably
Even though it's the
you're
same nigga who writes the fucking story too.
no. That's
Which
how
is
you know
also
it's
a
good. Like
problem.
a lot of manga is you have an author and the artist, but then you got
Right.
the real geniuses. Like, as much as I love to shit on it, Naruto was written and drawn by the same guy. One Piece, same thing.
Mhm.
Berserk, same thing. You got these geniuses who can come up with their own story and also draw it week to week. And it's tough, but I'm pretty sure Berserk is the same length you expect from like One Piece, where you get a weekly release, but it's every other week, so you have a little longer time to work on it.
Yeah, his time frame was bi-weekly, or not bi-weekly, bi-monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was on its current run recently, and then it was like, oh, and then like I read at the end of the thing, oh, it's on hiatus again. I was like, shit, fuck, I know how Friedman feels. Shit, I've never experienced this before.
Well, welcome to the world of being a weeb.
Yep.
Right, it's hard out here, man.
So I'm gonna move into the anime department now.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows in the last couple of years, Food Wars, known in Japanese as Shokugeki no Soma, got its 3rd season announced last week. This was
oh my god,
highly unanticipated. This show had a strong season 1. Season 2 wasn't bad. I didn't like as much season 1, but the sales on it were real garbage. No one bought the DVDs, and typically that's an indicator for no season 3. But the manga's doing very well. I think it's ranked 6th or 7th right now in Weekly Shonen Jump. And for reference, One Piece is number 1, Hero Academia is number 2 right now. So it's that manga is popular enough that they'd want to advertise with an anime. But they announced one that's only 6 months out, and they already had voice actors, principal, artwork, like all this other shit announced that usually you'd trickle out over the course of a year. But they're like, nah, 6 months from now it's coming out. So this was really out of left field. I'm very happy. If anyone wants to watch a battle anime about cooking, this is the
Luigi.
show. The only warning I have is before the author got into writing like exciting battle manga, he was a hentai artist. So in his first episode, he's like, yo, how do I make foodgasms into a real thing? So he did, and it was weird for like 2 or 3 episodes, and then he like toned it back. It's like, people are here for the cooking, not for watching the girls overreact to the food. But if you can get past if you can watch episode 1 and not feel disgusted with yourself, watch the whole thing because it's great. So moving on to the next one.
There you go.
Tyler can chime in. So last week, I had literally just finished watching the ending of Attack on Titan season 2.
Yeah, hype.
It was really good. I unfortunately got spoiled because people post YouTube videos right after it airs and fucking titles are spoilery. Regardless, I loved it. I kept memeing to one of my friends that since it took us 4 years for season 2 to come out, it was obviously going to be 8 years for season 3. And I got everyone he knew to be in on this joke before he spoke to them. So gradually people would be like, yeah, man, it's going to be 8 years for the next season. And he would be like, motherfucker, Friedman told you this, didn't he?
Motherfucker.
But then they went and beat me to the punch, and they announced season 3 for next year, 2018, which if anyone watched or listened to one of our previous Weep sections, I broke down the math and said there's no way it's happening before winter 2018. So expect Attack on Titan to start next September, October-ish.
Oh boy.
And then, all right, our next topic is another thing I complain about pretty regularly on this podcast. But one of the shows by Studio Trigger, who did Gurren Lagann Kill la Kill, their current show, Little Witch Academia, finished airing this week in Japan. And Netflix had exclusive rights to it in the U.S. And they originally said, we're only releasing the first half now. We don't know when we'll release the rest. And the anime community was kind of up in arms. They're like, this is bullshit. You made us wait 6 months to watch the first episode, and now you're not giving us the rest when it's stupidly easy to pirate this. So Netflix fired back and said, okay, we'll release the whole thing. So Netflix is listening to criticism, and I like that because they're not going to stick to their shitty business model like someone I'm about to talk about next. So I wouldn't be too mad if Netflix keeps picking up. I do not like having to wait for a show to finish airing before I can see it. But if they are going to, actually release it all at once, that'd be great. Let me really marathon it. In the meantime, Amazon is buying up more and more anime and making it worse for everyone. And I am not the only one who thinks this. Last week, there were a number of YouTubers, including one of my favorites, Jeff from Mother's Basement on YouTube. He's making some pretty good videos talking about why Amazon buying up anime and then not releasing a solid service is really bad for the industry. I don't have a way to tell Amazon that I don't like it unless I pay them and tell them I don't like it, at which point I've already paid them and they won. So, I don't know. Amazon sucks. They're ruining anime. Ruining it.
Sons of bitches.
And the last topic I got, which is always the fun one, is the anime subreddit is continuing their waifu wars. We are now reaching, I think the quarterfinals start in a couple days, and the salt is flowing. People are getting mad. Really
Oh,
good
what?
characters are getting eliminated by characters who are only popular because they are in a currently airing show. Recency bias. A
Ooh,
lot of them are
interesting.
season twos. Like there was a girl she's in Hero Academia. She has had collectively 26 minutes of screen time over the last 2 seasons, and she made it to the
Was it the
not
18 and
the
up? 18 and up hero?
no, not her. She was in it. It was how far in are you into season 1?
What was it Hero Academia? I finished it
Yeah.
all.
All right, the girl in
Yeah.
like the red dress who can just make shit out of her body.
Oh, her?
Yeah, she made it to
She
top
made it?
16. Yeah, because like, oh,
Wow.
she's hot.
Wow.
She's like, it's insane how much currently airing shows are beating out like very established good characters, and people are noticing it.
She barely has any character development at all.
There was a round where she was up against someone else from another show, Konosuba, that me and Luigi watched, and this other character also is one of those background characters who are only claimed to fame as she has the biggest boobs on the show, and the two of them made it to the top 16, and it's absolute horseshit. Which brings me to the real topic I wanted to talk about. Was I also watched Ghost in the Shell that same night, because that's the opposite of being recent. Because Sergeant Major made it, I think she made it through the preliminaries, but she didn't make it past the first round. But I got to see the original Ghost in the Shell for the first time this week.
What do you think?
It was interesting. I was very bored at the beginning, but the second half really picked up. I was very confused for most of it, but this was also one of the coolest looking anime movies I've watched in a while.
That Blade Runner aesthetic, dude.
It was Blade Runner, man. It was.
Yeah, man. That's what it was. That's literally the entire. That's why I liked
the point of it.
Ghost of the Shell, and that's why I gave Standalone Complex a chance. And I was like, man, if the movie was like this, and if the Major wasn't flat like she was in the movie, I would have liked her 100 times better.
Yeah.
Like, because in Standalone Complex, she's a completely more rounded out person. Like,
she's a real character.
Yeah, she's a real character. Like, she's not stale. Like, I understand, right? She's supposed to be like that cold-hearted,
like a cool badass
cyborg, yeah, badass. But I'm like, this isn't what I want from this. And the show kind of offers me more, but it doesn't deliver that same aesthetic like the movie, unfortunately.
Oh, no,
but I still think it makes up, in my opinion, for story and its use of technology and law. Right, they actually touch a lot on, kind of like that future, like that not so distant future sci-fi law in some episodes, and I really like that.
It was an enjoyable movie, but I'm not gonna lie, I was a little lost. My friend I was watching with completely missed the point at the end. There's a sequence where the main character's hooked up to essentially the villain, and the two of them each of them jumps into each other's body, and they start having a conversation with each other. But out loud, it's the opposite character's voice. And my friend, he just did not get that they swapped, and he couldn't figure out why the hell they were having this conversation.
Oh, they didn't swap; they joined.
Well, no, they when they were connected,
agreed.
They were each talking from each other's body for a good 5-6 minutes, and he did not catch on to the idea that they had swapped. He's like, "Why is the Major suddenly sounding like the villain?" And I'm like, "Well,
what?
Because,
yeah."
And the ending left it a little open, but it's not a bad movie. It's interesting. You need to go into it knowing this is a little slower. It's very different from Standalone Complex. I had seen most of Standalone Complex first, so I at least knew who the characters were, but I knew the tone was going to be completely different. It wasn't bad, but maybe it's been too much time and I didn't give into the hype as much as everyone else has. But I definitely recommend watching it if you want to know what the big deal with Ghost in the Shell is.
If you like vague endings,
oh man,
and like Blade Runner, and if you like the aesthetic like Blade Runner, just watch Ghost in the Shell. But I don't know, man. Like, I want to recommend it. Like, I don't, because I watched it forever ago.
I want to recommend it, but I'm not sure if I would.
Yeah, right. Like, I watched it forever ago, and I'm like, I didn't like it. And then before I watched the new one with Scarlett Johansson, I was like, let me watch this one again, right? And so I watched it, and I was like, man, I still don't like it, and I like it, and I don't like it for the same reasons. But, like, the action scenes are really cool, right? And the use of their science fiction gizmos were also really cool, right? But I wish, like I said, I wish the Major was a lot more rounded out. Like, it almost doesn't make sense, the fact that, like, her and Bato are so close in that movie.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that.
Right, and in the
like
show,
they barely spoke in the first half, and then suddenly they're like buddy in the second half.
Yeah, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's like, in the show, you could tell, like, she has a lot more camaraderie with everyone else, like on Section 9. I think what's his face, the Japanese dude that's in literally everything, who played Aramaki in the live action movie. I thought he was really good.
One of my friends had seen Standalone Complex, and he watched this, and he was expecting all the robots from Standalone Complex to show up. And he was very disappointed when they weren't in that movie.
Oh, the Tachikomas?
Yeah, because they
cool.
do. There's that
they
one.
Show up. Yeah, the one big ass tank at the end. that fucking Bato blows a hole.
Shit, trying to do like a backflip against.
Eat
and then,
shit, dude.
Yeah.
And then Bato comes in with this anti-tank rifle. That was awesome.
That was a good scene.
That was a really good scene.
There are a lot of really well animated scenes, like anything involving the invisibility in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Was really well done. If anything, just for how aesthetically pleasing this movie is. Also, if you're into vaporwave, this is where the aesthetic comes from. But
yeah, right.
This is the movie to watch for that.
So I'm assuming you never watched it.
No, I did not.
It's an interesting.
I'm not gonna recommend it to you.
Okay.
But I am gonna recommend Cowboy Bebop to you.
Yes.
I still want to watch it. I know. I remember. I know it's good.
I'm gonna get Leslie to watch it soon, very soon. Which gives me a reason to rewatch it.
Then she'll be like, "No, Tim, now you have to watch it." And I'm like, "Fine."
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. I should have just given you my DVD copies before you left.
No, they're super rare and expensive now.
Are they?
Actually, no. Funimation re-released it. They went down. So while we're still on the Weeb shit, I used to collect the anime DVDs, and I spec'd a bunch of them when Bandai stopped releasing videos in America, and a lot of stuff like Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, the older Gundams, they all went from like being $20, $30 for like half a season DVD to being $100 for a half season set.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
A lot were picked up by Funimation. Like they got Code Geass, they got Cowboy Bebop, they got a couple of those, and they started re-releasing them, so the price is down again. But there's some that didn't get picked up, and they are stupidly high in price. Like Gurren wasn't available on DVD for a while. That started going up until Aniplex America started re-releasing them. But then they're like, "Oh fuck, it's gonna be $400 for the Blu-ray set because we'll make you pay how much the Japanese pay." So it's arbitrarily expensive new right now. But point is, your DVDs might be worth a lot. Go check them.
Right. Apparently mine aren't.
And that's it for the Weeb shit.
All right. In that case, we will take our break and then come back with our topic. Star Wars Episode 7. And we're back, everybody.
Yeah.
And we're ready to talk about Star Wars.
No, I'm not going to go off on
Episode
it.
7.
One of those controversial topics in our group. Probably the most controversial since Final Fantasy 13.
Oh, easy. Easy.
This one's been looming for a while.
I mean, is it looming?
We knew it was going to happen.
It was going to happen at some point.
I mean, is the battle just Tim doesn't like this and everyone else thinks it's good?
No, it's you think it's bad, and I want to talk about why you think it's bad.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I can do with that.
Yeah, like I'm indifferent to your opinion or whatever. Like I don't care.
I'm not trying to change your opinion. I just want to provide feedback. Like there are things that you don't like that don't personally bother me, and I want to have that discussion.
Yeah. In fact, So go. Like, let's start with. I don't know. What's the least thing? Like, what's the least thing that could bother you? And let's work our way up.
So I want to talk about. So here's the big thing between the group of friends I watch Star Wars with is what did you think of Kylo Ren as a villain?
That's an interesting one.
Very boy band.
So I was sort of split when I saw him. Basically, you can split it into pre and post mask reveal. Before he took off his mask, I liked him. And then they took off the mask, and what they were trying to do is they were trying to invoke...
Dude!
What?
I agree with you.
They were trying to invoke the feeling you got in Episode 6, where they take off Darth Vader's mask, and you're like, oh wow, he really was human underneath it the whole time.
And then Kylo Ren's just like, oh wow, he really was a prissy bitch underneath the whole time.
He really was a prissy bitch the whole time.
And big-eared Adam Driver popped out from underneath the mask. And any semblance of like fear you had for him, because up until that point it's always been like, oh fuck, he's like doing reckless shit. He's like, he was cool, and then he takes off the mask, and you're like, I don't know anymore.
No one cared who he was until he took off the mask.
And it didn't bother me so much when I saw it, but then my friends were like, yeah, once he took off the mask, he wasn't threatening as a villain to me. That's a legitimate thing I've seen. Yeah, and they kind of played with that a little bit during the bridge scene with Han Solo, where he takes off his mask, and it's almost like, oh look, there's really a human underneath again, and then he just fucking stabs him.
See, I just like
the
part of it. Part of it is
don't instigate.
Part of it is the mask thing is just calling back to Vader. Like, I get that that's his character arc, but could you really not come up with a more interesting character arc? Like, okay, this is what's gonna happen constantly, but I'm gonna reference the old universe. In the old universe, over the course of about, oh man, how old is he by then? He's like 30 years old. When Han and Leia's oldest son falls to the dark side. Because they have 3 kids in the expanded universe originally. And one of them dies when this alien race from outside the galaxy invades. And then the one who goes to the dark side is captured by them and basically kind of like twisted into almost like you know how like Anakin goes from Jedi to dark super hard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Their son Jason, he meets up with this old Jedi who was captured by these extragalactic aliens, like way before the Clone Wars even. And she basically kind of turns him gray almost. But then in the next arc, when they're trying to rebuild the galactic government after the war is over, he kind of gets, I don't want to say twisted, but his decisions lead him down this like totalitarian path. And I know that like you could drop us in at the end of that and it wouldn't feel that great either. But like, what did Kylo Ren ever have to go through that was so changing? Like, he just loved he just thought Darth Vader was super cool and that Luke sucked as a teacher, I guess.
That's kind of what it's implied to be.
Like, we don't have any feel here
we don't actually know yet.
Like, the movie doesn't give you any impression that the New Republic is a strong government or anything, or that
hold on, quick question. Is it implied that the entire Galactic Senate was destroyed in 7?
It's implied that like 5 of the most important planets in the galaxy were destroyed.
Yeah, I feel like all right, I felt like they underplayed that point
way too hard.
As someone who, as a kid,
those were key characters, though.
I don't want to say I liked the prequels, but I watched them a lot when I was younger. And when they said, "Oh, we're firing at Coruscant," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, they can't possibly just blow it up in this scene. There's no way they can get away with that."
When you spend episode 1 and 2 on Coruscant, and then in episode 3, there's literally a fleet so large they like almost do the blot out the sun thing.
Yeah.
That's like, whoa, the war is on the doorstep. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, Coruscant is the safe center of the galaxy, and it hits home, and the war hits there, and that's fucking nuts. And in this, there's just kind of like, look at these like 5 rebels, even though they're like, the galactic government exists, but they're such babies, they won't fight the new empire. And then they just kind of get blown up. Like, there's okay, so one of my favorite books in the expanded universe, I'm going so deep, is called The Back to War. It's the 4th book in the 10-book X-Wing series, where they follow Rogue Squadron and then this other group called Wraith Squadron. But in the 4th book, the woman who ran Imperial intelligence when the Emperor died, she kind of eventually steps into the role as running the Empire. and then the New Republic in the third book kicks her off Coruscant, and she basically had a super Star Destroyer buried on Coruscant, and she flies away and takes over the planet that produces all the Bacta in the galaxy. She has her ship, her super Star Destroyer, 2 Star Destroyers, and a Victory Star Destroyer, which is one of the Clone Wars ones. The New Republic leaves her alone officially because they say we do not interfere with a planetary government struggle, and in this case, there was a coup of one of the 2 companies that makes all the Bacta in the galaxy. They basically killed off all the other members of the other company and formed a new government and happened to instate her as the head. And the New Republic is like, okay, technically this wasn't a planetary thing. She doesn't own any other planet. She's just the head of this planet. She has a super Star Destroyer, so we're monitoring the situation, and that's really bad. But officially, the New Republic can't do anything. And they don't. They don't actually do anything. That falls apart when the New Republic finds out that the new Empire is literally building a super Death Star. Like, there is no intergalactic peace when someone is clearly building a weapon that is calling back to the Death Star.
Planets, yeah.
Like, oh, how do we top Alderaan being destroyed? And there's not even any emotional investment. Like, if someone had said, oh, I'm like, there's some systems in Star Wars that have like 5 planets and they're all a big deal. You could pick like some major alien race, like the Celestins or the Rhodians or something, one of the main races, or even Naboo, even the Naboo. Pick some system that we have some kind of emotional attachment to. In this, it's like, oh, we're blowing up 5 planets, and then you see
they've never heard
a few people chilling on a planet that
development.
just has random modern-looking city. It's probably not Coruscant because there's not enough stuff. And then they just
Aren't they
die.
supposed to have like those people? Weren't they supposed to be like really important people that like we should have gotten backstory on?
I think it said that we're cutting off the head of the New Republic, killing the government, so it might have been Coruscant or something, or wherever the
That's
new
what I thought
capital
it
was.
was.
Man, because if it was Coruscant, then like they should have like came out and said it then.
I know, and that's why I think it wasn't, but also never mind the fact that, like I said, that there's systems with a bunch of planets, but not a lot. And like they just kind of blow up 5 planets that are next to each other.
Right.
Like they're just next to each other. And it's like
my takeaway from it was that their aim was really shitty, and they just kind of fired in the general area and hit 5 planets.
But you're telling me your super weapon that can somehow, unless I miss my guess, the Starkiller planet or whatever you want to, I forget what it's officially called.
Starkiller Base.
Starkiller Base doesn't actually go anywhere. It fires through hyperspace.
Huh.
Correct?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure.
It moved into the range of the sun it needed, but it didn't move close to its targets. It was like a long-range weapon.
Well, okay, Friedman. We're talking about if you're not in the same system, it's light years to the next star.
Yes.
You can't fire a laser like that.
Dude, it's science fiction.
So
Of course
it either jumped
Super science fiction.
It either jumped or it fired through hyperspace. And there is a weapon that has fired through hyperspace in the expanded universe. It was called the Galaxy Gun. It was a giant cannon that this makes sense. It fired projectiles that had their
Gallic gun? I'm just kidding.
That's what I was thinking
I'll
too.
stop.
they had their own hyperspace. Every single shot had their own hyperspace motivator on board so that the bullet could physically travel through hyperspace. You could literally shoot people through hyperspace, and you could customize it from destroying a ship to destroying an entire planet.
Jesus fuck.
But
Man,
that makes
this
sense.
thing, you would
How
never
does
see it though.
That's the scary part. That's why
Yeah,
it was
that's the point,
terrifying.
You couldn't see it either.
No, that's why it was
Dude,
it was
black
super
people,
scary.
right. Jesus.
Like I never actually read it because it was in comics and I didn't read that many of the comics. But the Emperor basically picked off the base that was the temporary headquarters of the Republic when he retook Coruscant. He was like, "Oh, we found the location of their base. Fire, boom!" And then they just fire this bullet through hyperspace and blow up the base.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's fucking scary. But
Fuck that.
But then there's this. Like, you're telling me you can fire a laser through hyperspace, or you can jump a whole planet, which, okay, I'll let you get that one. There actually is a planet that can move in Star Wars. It's an organic planet that's alive, but sure.
Well, I mean, they moved the Death Star through space.
But that was a totally artificial construction, not a hollowed out planet.
But Tim, they said fuck your extended universe.
I know they did, but that doesn't mean the rules don't apply of sense. Okay, not even taking any of that into account. How do you fire a beam of light through hyperspace? Now, okay, let's say you can somehow open up a hyperspace portal. Never happened in Star Wars before, not unless you count the expanded universe. Never has that been evidenced, ever. But sure, let's say you can do that. Then you're telling me when it gets to the other side, you can split the laser into 5 pieces and aim them. Seriously.
Maybe they shot a bullet, man. Maybe it's just a giant bullet.
It's clearly a laser, Tyler. It's clearly a laser.
Clearly
like it's not even a guess.
Man, I thought you were gonna have a lot different issues with Star Wars than this. This is like stuff that doesn't bother me.
Freeman, this is stuff that we went down into though. Like it's not a problem by itself if you establish those rules, but when you establish something like the Death Star, you spend literally the first trilogy with the specter of the Death Star, this small moon that can jump between systems and has a super laser that can blow up ships or one planet, but you see it coming, or somehow a tiny empire can can hollow out a planet more or less and build a gun that can destroy 5 planets somehow.
It's fucking wild.
Like there's no rules anymore.
What's the time frame between 6 and 7?
Apparently only like 30 years.
Yeah, so, it's like only a couple decades.
So it was roughly 30 years between 3 and 4 when the first Death Star was built, and that had delays that are actually like plot oriented. But between 4 and 6, it's like what, 3-4 years, and they build a second Death Star. It's not complete, but it's operational.
No, that's fine. But the Empire literally owned the galaxy. To steal the Louis C.K. bit, when you can throw human death and suffering at a project, you'll get it done. There's a reason there's so many references in even the basic expanded universe to how the Wookiees of Kashyyyk were ravaged because the Empire came and stole them for slaves to build the Death Stars.
Damn.
You also know how much easier it is to build something a second time. Like, they did build the first Death Star, and they did change it for the second one, but when it was just, like, even in Rogue One, we established that the Emperor wasn't super on board. And yet, at the end of Episode 4, the Emperor's like, fuck, we need this. This is so hot. Like,
I'm hot. I'm getting hot right now. I'm getting sweaty.
Like, you go from quote-unquote unlimited budget to literally the Emperor is watching us build this thing and has a throne room on here because he's on board.
With the primo window.
The primo of windows. No, good point. Good point.
Like, but it just feels like, how do you build Starkiller Base? Unless we find out that, the Emperor started building it back before the Empire even fell apart, and it's just been being built for 40 years. I still won't buy that, but it's a reason.
So maybe I didn't read into it as much as being completely hollowed out, but when I saw it in theaters, my impression was that they just built Starkiller Base into an existing planet.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the impression that it was completely hollowed out from the inside. I thought it was just enough so they had the mechanism for absorbing the sun's energy and then redirecting as a laser. I figured they literally did this as easy as they could. They just carved it out of an existing planet because they could not build an entire moon-sized base.
Yeah, but you still have to imagine that carving out part of a planet and building that whole thing, like that. Okay.
Well, no, I'm saying it sounds like that would be easier and like kind of simpler to do instead of actually building a base yourself.
Okay, I understand what you mean. Here's my response to that. The Death Star was partially so large because it was a mobile base, but it also needed all that size to build that. You saw how big that reactor was.
Yeah.
It took all that to power that super laser. And I get that they have to suck in the power of the sun, but if you're literally draining the sun like that, where is all that going to go? That is you don't even build batteries that could do that. How do you even store all that power? Do you just shove it into like the planet's core somehow?
You condense it, and that's how you're able to shoot it really fast in a way that's going to split into 5 equally destructive points.
We saw in Rogue One how big the tower was just to hold all those data drives.
Yeah.
That's just data. How do you store power like that? The Death Star's reactor was titanic, and it was making that juice. How do you store a sun in anything smaller? Like that just it doesn't seem possible. I know they have their fancy technology, but like Star Wars has never shown such an advanced technology that they can just store a sun somewhere.
Listen, man. All right, it's just science, man. I don't know. Literally, no one's thinking about this. They're just like, holy shit. It's basically episode 4. We just want to watch episode 4. And guess what? They got episode 4. I guarantee you, no one's thinking about this. Except for you. You're the only one who cares, Tim.
No, you'd think so, but then people are going to comment. More people are going to listen to this episode because I'm going to put episode 7 Throwdown in the title.
Well, yeah, you know what though? Like, and that's fine. No, you aren't the only one. But I'm saying the majority of people who only go see the movie for the surface.
I totally understand. I'm not trying to attack. I'm not trying to be one of those people who is insulting someone for liking this movie.
No, I know you're not.
This discussion isn't bad. This discussion is why didn't you like it? That's what this is. It's at the end of the day, it's an opinion.
Yeah, and like I don't care if you offend other people. You're not offending me. I think it's interesting. Like this stuff is insightful to me, and I like to know about it.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even think like the other episode we recorded. You mentioned the Rey piloting the Millennium Falcon being unrealistic, and I literally had not thought of it before. And walking with them, like,
it's true.
You know what? They were 100% right about that. That was not
true,
well thought out.
Yeah.
But I didn't think about it at the time. So
me either.
Despite disagreeing with a lot, I enjoyed this discussion.
No, I can. And that. Oh, sorry. There we go.
And there we go. I was like, wait.
I thought you were just like so overwhelmed you couldn't get your words together.
No. I felt the sneeze coming, but
I can't do it.
It just wouldn't come. But see, but here's my flip response to that. I can totally understand that I have this thing that makes me not enjoy episode 7 so much more than you guys. But on the flip side of that, I still love Rogue One. I still think Rogue One is fantastic. So doesn't that kind of play into maybe this is not just Tim being Star Warsy?
Oh no, 100%. But I didn't want to go on Rogue One. Let's do it. Was there anything in particular about Rogue One that made it stand out way above 7 for you?
Just the way they told the story, and they didn't try to tell their retelling of something. Like there are obviously details that nagged at me. Like I would have handled the ending of the movie a little better. And I think I've talked to you guys about it, or I've talked to someone about how I would have redone the end to 7, or the end to the movie.
Yeah.
To make it.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah, is that like I believe you
might have.
I don't remember.
You probably did. Yeah.
I mean,
I
basically,
don't remember what you said.
Basically, a better ending of the movie would be Vader would be instead of Leia just being randomly buried away in the flagship, Leia jumping into the edge of the system and seeing like literally just jumping in it. Like they send out a distress call and she's on the edge of the system and she just jumps in, and Vader is cutting his way into the transmission room, and he sees a little Corellian Corvette icon, and then it cuts out to space, and you see Leia in her ship again, and you see some guy like, "Princess, we got it," and she's like, "We got hope," or whatever, and then you see her ship just bank away and jump, because Vader physically being there
It was a little
ruins
annoying.
that whole scene, actually, because it's so badass to see him doing that, and then you're like, oh, you just got stopped by a door.
Yeah, even though he cut through pretty much everything else and
Like, he
everybody
actually
else.
stabbed through the door because he stabs the guy into the door.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that if I feel like it doesn't jive with the beginning of episode 4 because Vader comes in and kills everybody, but he's like, no, you're part of the Rebel Alliance. You received transmissions, but you'd never, like, the
It would
ship
have been like,
never
hey,
received
look, I totally
transmissions.
saw you in this combat zone running away. Like, it was
Like, oh, princess, I know you received transmissions from, but she could play, like, mentally it's a much more solid story for her, whereas why would you risk so much by being buried away inside this Rebel flagship? Like, it accomplishes nothing for her to be on the ship. It makes so much more sense for her to jump in, like, just as they're being defeated, way out on the edge of the system, but you hear someone call Vader and be like, Lord Vader, we detected a Corellian Corvette on the edge of the system, and just as the Rebel flagship sent its last transmission. There you go. And then Vader's like, track that ship, we're following after it. And then you see him storm back off the flagship.
And then that's literally leads into episode 4. Literally.
Yeah. Because it actually plays it off so much better as there isn't certainty there. Like, it's like, okay, Vader fucking knows that she has the plans at the start of episode 4.
yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's where we pretty much see the entire movie start.
like, I know that they're already fighting as the movie starts, and Vader would just shoot at them, but it gives so much more weight to it fits so much better at the beginning of episode 4. But even with that minor quibble, like, it also fits so well with episode 4 in that the rebellion has just taken a major hit right before the Death Star thing because they threw all these guys and ships and stuff at the
Just to
planet
get the
and they
plans,
all
yeah.
died. And it's like,
Yeah.
fuck, that was most of our military might, and that explains so much more why it's just a bunch of X-wings against the Death Star.
That's right. You don't see any other like rebel ships in 4.
Yeah, you don't. You see Y-wings and X-wings, and it's like, well, our fleet just got smashed and they're
Bopped.
all dead.
Got fucking bopped.
But like, just the way they tell the story and the humor feels a lot more natural, and it's a lot more about
That's where I'm gonna fight you.
what
Oh
The
shit!
fucking robot in Rogue One.
is great.
From the second he showed up on screen, I'm like, dude, this is like they made
Alan
Sheldon
Tudyk.
Cooper from Big Bang Theory into a robot.
You're
and that's
not
who
wrong.
He is.
Damn, that
And,
just ruined the
and like
character.
it ruined the movie for me because I'm like, god damn it,
Oh,
Sheldon
Nope.
Cooper.
man.
Like he's gonna say Bazinga.
He's gonna say Bazinga.
I like
Damn.
it because,
Not true though.
for better or worse, Star Wars has a talking robot character every time.
Always, yeah.
We're tired of 3PO. 3PO just being a dumb asshole all the time.
He's
R2
gotten a
doesn't
lot
talk,
worse.
and BB-8 is just a cuter version of R2.
You
So
know, for toys.
Basically.
let's
toys.
just have the one time snarky robot. And I think it works once. If they never do it again, I'm fine with it. If they try to keep cramming it in as, oh, the robot got programmed to be a douchebag, like, then it's a problem. But right now, I think it's okay.
Just this once.
Because
I wasn't upset that he was funny. It was his style of humor that just bothered me.
I think having a pessimist robot's funny.
It's
And
always funny.
I think the
Even
fact
Marvin
No, I know,
from
but-
Hitchhiker's Guide is
But
funny.
I think also the fact that he's an Imperial droid that got reprogrammed, so he does have this kind of like, damn, everything sucks attitude, versus if it was a rebellion droid.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It makes sense. I just didn't like it.
No, I know, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should get back to 7 because Rogue One, even with a smaller scale story, feels bigger than this. It's like Episode 7 wanted the big thing to be Starkiller Base and destroying this stuff. But that factors in, it feels so nebulous, and then it feels so cheap how they destroy the planet, and then the X-Wing attack that just kind of fixes everything. It feels so cheap and samey compared to Episode 4, whereas Rogue One did it so differently. Like, the fact that more than one fucking character had to die to get these plans, where they all died, that is such a ballsy, awesome way to end that story. None of the numbered movies are going to have the guts to do that, and that takes so much weight out of it for me.
Many Bothans died to get these plans.
That's sick. Shut up.
Like, at least... Yeah, but Mon Mothma, like, you can tell it's a somber moment.
Oh yeah, everyone is suddenly depressed in that
Everyone's
scene.
like,
There is
"Oh,
gravity
fuck,
to
dude."
what's happening.
There's actually a side story about Luke helping those Bothans, and then they send him the plans, and then their ship explodes.
Jeez.
Damn. Damn.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information. And then that comes up for years in the expanded storyline. A Bothan gets elected to the head of the New Republic as like the third person to hold the title. Mostly because he keeps playing up how sick Bothans are. But anyway. I don't know, man. Everything in 7 feels like it doesn't feel original at all. None of it feels like they tried, and in Rogue One, it feels like they tried really hard. Like, the fact that they were a side movie feels like they were like, fuck it, man. We're going to earn this thing. We are going to kill this, and we're going to experiment, and we're going to have a sick time doing it. And Episode 7 felt like, we're not really sure if people want Star Wars anymore. We need to just make the most
though.
basic...
I feel like J.J. Abrams' hands were tied. I feel like... That's how I felt about the movie.
The thing about 7 compared to Rogue One is that Rogue One didn't have to leave off in a place where they were going to make a sequel. It did not have to directly.
Originally, it did. Originally,
sequel.
some of the party survived. They let him go back
Rogue
after test screenings and redo it.
Really?
Yeah. That stuff with them all dying was not originally how it was. At least some of them survived, I think.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but I'm 99% sure I read that. That he originally wanted to have them all die, and he did it, but he still did it as not all dying, and then they went back and they're like, nah, you can kill them all.
Oh, shit. Which is which I thought, like you said,
way better. So good. So fantastic that they killed them all.
It was like, holy
but they wrote it with the intention that these characters are going to die. We can do something crazy with them.
But that's not a good excuse.
Make them as great or as least little memorable as possible. Like, I walked out of that movie saying, I don't remember what the male protagonist name was.
I don't either, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you can't write a Star Wars movie where the main character doesn't matter.
They wrote a better Star Wars movie than 7, and to your point about JJ's hands being tied, he also rebooted the Star Trek franchise, and the first new Star Trek movie is way better than this.
But he couldn't reboot Star Wars.
But it doesn't matter. He brought a franchise back to movies that hadn't been there in years. I'd argue that Star Trek was a riskier proposition to come back with than Episode 7 of Star Wars was.
Probably. And the thing about Star Trek is that a majority of people who went to see that movie and are now big fans now were not fans of the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd be willing to argue
one
that
of those people
who've seen Star Wars 7 have seen Star Wars in the past and did have expectations coming in.
Yep.
Yeah, I watched these I didn't watch Beyond. I plan on watching it at some point, but I watched the first 2 Star Treks and I was like, man, I want to watch the original Star Trek, and like I watched pretty much most of it.
I think Star Trek, the new one. I know some people will disagree with this, and they're allowed to because there are people who are as big as Star Trek fans as I'm a Star Wars guy. But I thought that the way they tried to pay homage to the original while still carving their own path was really awesome. Whereas Episode 7 doesn't feel like it's carving its own path at all. It relies very heavily on nostalgia for the original characters and for liking the structure of Episode 4 because it just is Episode 4 again.
All right, this is where I want to chime in. So you mentioned the characters.
Yep.
That is the reason I watch Star Wars, is because I care about what happens to these characters. And that was the number one reason that I didn't like Rogue One as much as everyone else, because I want to care about these characters. I want to remember who they are. I want to see what they're going to do next. And don't get me wrong, it was great that they killed them off in Rogue One, but I didn't think they made them memorable enough. And that's partially why I did like 7, because a third of the way through the film, Han Solo pops up.
You know what?
I fucking love Han Solo.
No, but you know what? You know what? They wrote Rogue One with that in mind. They didn't, because if you did care about those characters, then people would be like, oh, you gotta find a way to make them alive, or we need a prequel to Rogue One talking about these guys. You care about them just enough to really be fucking bummed when they all die at the end of the movie, and you don't need to remember them because it's just a standalone movie. You don't need to remember who they are. You just need to remember that Rogue One was great and you want to watch it again.
So it was the complete package. You didn't need to leave questions to be asked. You didn't need to garner additional interest in your characters.
But that's not a reason for Episode 7 to be so weak. That's not an excuse because they're like, oh, we had to leave it open. You just write a bigger story.
No.
I fully believe you cannot defend how much 7 is like 4.
Dude, like every Star Wars movie is like 4.
No,
6 is like 4. What is like 4?
Freeman, this is practically shot for shot.
No, it is 4. 7 is 4. Like I like.
There's a trench run. There's a fucking Death Star. There's a sacrifice of a mentor. There's a fucking lightsaber battle.
You're talking about 1.
What the fuck?
You're talking about 1.
Okay, I'm not. But we're not. But we're not talking about 1. We're not. I get that it's similar.
Star Wars.
Yes, but Freeman, 1 still wasn't a shot for shot. If nothing else, 1 also had the whole thing. Like 1 at least was operating on different fronts. 1 was like, okay, we got the space shit, and we got the ground stuff with the Gungans dying, and we got the stuff going on with the Jedi duel. Like it's all different pieces. 4 is literally, or 7 is just 4. 7 is just. There's a team on the ground, and then there's some X-Wings. Like, at least 1 took the formula and played with it a little. 7 is just 4. I get that.
Yeah, so on one, you've got a ground crew that's on the ground. You've got your Jedis fighting Darth Maul, but you have that one team that's trying to shut down. Well, you've got the battle with the Gungans, but point is, Anakin gets in that ship. He flies up. He shuts down the reactor up there, which is the equivalent of firing at the Death Star, even though he just kind of.
But at least he doesn't make a fucking trench run to do it.
No, he accidentally flies in and shoots shit. But the idea was someone had to run in, hit the reactor. There's a fight over there. The Jedi are fighting. It was all very similar. This is what Star Wars does.
I don't care if it's similar. I care that it's a shot-for-shot remake. Freeman, it's still X-Wings, still in a trench, still firing into that perfect one shot through a hole in the wall.
And that's how 6 ended.
No, it isn't.
With fucking flying the Millennium Falcon through the X-shaped patterns to get to the center to fire on the reactor they couldn't get to until the shield was down.
And then they have to fly.
Because there was a fight on the planet while Luke is with Darth Vader having his lightsaber battle. This is Star Wars. They are all like this.
But Freeman, you can put a new coat of paint on it without it being a carbon copy.
And I'm saying they've never done that before.
What are you talking about? Every single other one.
The same thing.
Okay, you can break them all down to these pieces, but they didn't even retexture them for 7. At least in Episode 1, it's not X-Wings. It's a Naboo starfighter. In Episode 6, it's the Falcon and an X-Wing, not an X-Wing by itself. This is literally just one guy in an X-Wing landing the perfect shot that blows up the whole thing again. It's one guy. Let's do a trench run. Dodge some lasers. Zip up at the last second. Shoot a proton torpedo that blows up the whole thing at the last possible second again. Everything else was going wrong, but there wasn't any last possible second. There wasn't any countdown like in 4, where they're like firing in 5 and then they explode. It's like we're losing, but it's not over in seconds. There's no time limit on those. This is literally, we're going to fire on the rebel base on whatever planet in 5 seconds.
So do you think it would be better if there was less tension?
I think it would be so much better if you changed 2 small pieces. Pick any 2 of those small pieces and change them, and I don't have as much of a problem. It doesn't ring this alarm. I can watch the other movies and not think, this is just 4 again, this is just 4 again, because they have enough layers on top of them that at least follow the... It's like looking at 2 pictures of a hill chain. It's like, yeah, I can see how these bumps kind of match up with that one, but there's some greater dips here, and these things kind of spike in slightly different places. This is like taking 2 pictures of a hill, the same hill in winter and the same hill in summer, and slamming them on top of each other and being like, oh, I'm looking through these 2 pictures and they follow the exact same curves. I want any
this is the
variance.
blood I've been trying to find. I've been trying to listen to.
Huh?
Like, this fire is what I've been looking forward to since we brought up the topic, or you brought up the topic.
I know.
I like this. This is the kind of blood I like to see. It's great.
That's what I feel like. Freeman, I totally understand. I'm not disagreeing with you on the point that they all follow a formula. I'm not. I can't dispute that. The only reason that I don't like it is because, again, the expanded... That's the other reason this hurts so much, is because the expanded universe had so many stories that didn't just follow this. That weren't just solve it at the last second. There were so many other ways to develop stories, and there's so many stories that start stronger than this. Like, where do you go from here that isn't the same place you're going in 5? That's the other thing. At least at the end of 1, you can say that they're going in a different direction than just going into 5 again. Because 2 is definitely not 5.
No.
But 8 looks like it's just going to be 5 again. Go train with the Jedi buried away somewhere in the Hermit and talk about how the Jedi are all dead. Undergo training anyway. Meanwhile, the bad guy is going to lay a trap and try to capture you. Like, that's fucking the same thing.
That's Empire, yeah. Yeah, it might be Empire, yeah.
I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but you didn't finish 1 being like, I'm going to go watch in 2 years when 2 comes out, I'm going to go watch 5 again.
Here's the thing that's different. Probably the only thing that's keeping me really excited for 8 and 9 is that going into episode 5, you knew jack shit about Darth Vader.
We know
you didn't
everything
care about
Kylo Ren.
And then you go to the end of 5, and so I'm your father, and you're like, shit, I gotta know what happened. And that necessitated 3 other movies to explain what happened to Anakin. But going in, you're like, I already want to know what the deal is with Kylo Ren, and I can guarantee you that's gonna play a role in 8.
I care 0 about him.
Really?
I care less than 0 because, and for me, this is expanded universe stuff, but I had such a strong children for Han and Leia. Like, say what you will about the characters now, about Rey and Kylo and Finn. In the books, Han and Leia had 3 kids, and Luke and his wife actually had a kid too. And Luke's son was actually on Jason's side until near the end when he finally starts to go really fucking dark. It's actually...
Luke having a kid, that's a no-no.
He has 1 kid. Oh, did I mention...
no-no.
Did I mention Luke's wife, who's also a Jedi Master, is killed by Jason, but he covers it up until later on. And then Luke still doesn't go dark and kill his nephew.
See, this is why Jedi aren't allowed any kids.
Well, in Luke's defense, there like not many Jedi, and it's kind of like. Well, also, actually,
she was just there, and he had no one else.
No, in this, they meet during the Thrawn trilogy, which is like the trilogy that everyone wanted these movies to be based on. Then 10 years later, they meet up and fall in love again. They meet up again and fall in love after she almost killed him multiple times. Because she was the Emperor's assassin who could use the Force and received his commands through the Force. And his last command was kill Luke Skywalker. And the only way she gets out of killing Luke is by killing a clone of his. And that makes the voice of the Emperor pushing her to kill Luke stop. And then 10 years later, they fall in love. While they're trapped on a secret mission.
That just sounds weird to me. I don't know. I don't know if I would be a fan of that story. I'll be real. Maybe because I don't like love stories.
Tyler, I'm oversimplifying it so much.
I don't know. When I think of Luke Skywalker, he seems like completely asexual to me.
He does. You're right.
Like almost completely.
Wait, you didn't pick up on those incest vibes in episode 4?
Oh my god. Tyler.
I mean, I did.
Tyler, he's fucking...
But even still, I thought he was a beta as hell motherfucker.
Tyler, it is over 20 years after episode 4 before he finally settles down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, in the side universe? Probably. Yeah. God, the brother-sister vibe, though. Like,
you know
what?
what?
The actual hell?
You know what?
Now it made me think about it, and I'm weirded out. I'm like, Jesus, no.
Here's even something else that I'm going to throw out there.
Yes.
Another thing that bothered me about 7, because we're just going to keep fucking going.
We're going to keep going.
The galaxy feels like it hasn't moved. And at the end of 20 years in the books, you can absolutely say that you feel like the galaxy has moved. The galaxy feels so... It feels like the episode 6 happened, and then they just stopped. Everyone just stopped.
So there's a reason for this. It's not a good reason, but a lot of it was they wanted you, the viewer, to feel like you're picking up right where 6 left off.
That's so lame. Then they shouldn't have done that if they wanted Luke, Han, and Leia to be in the story. Or CGI them younger or something. Because you can't cheat like that.
Too bad they did.
You know how much time passes from the end of episode 3 to the beginning of episode 4? Like
25 years? However old Luke is.
No, like it's like 17 years.
Yeah, because Luke is 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and everything feels so different because it's like the Republic did collapse, and now the Empire. People don't even talk about the Republic anymore because it's kids are growing up having been born under the Empire, like Luke, where they just didn't have the Republic. So where the fuck is that? There's no sense of this universe having people who are like, man, I remember reading about the Empire in history books, and now there's just that whatever faction that I don't even remember the name of. But they're just, like, they're kind of this little, like, they're like a satellite school almost I can go to, like, to learn about the Empire from them directly if I really wanted to. Like, there's no sense of that. There's no sense of time having done anything other than people getting old. Luke tried to raise
the Rebel Alliance is still there. It gives me the impression that it didn't really change much. The Empire still lingered for a while.
That is such horseshit. There is no
you think the Empire
way.
just ended overnight?
No, and that's addressed again in the books. But I definitely don't think the Empire should have won in the long run without the Emperor, because he is the one who used the Force and his own will to make it work after building up. That's why the book Darth Plagueis is so good, because it literally goes from
Have
his
you heard
master.
Of the stories?
I know. But it literally goes from Plagueis showing, like, finding Sidious and how they together set up the galaxy for this shit. Like, since he meets Sidious as a teenager, they've been setting this shit up together. And, like, he is the Empire because he is the Emperor. There is no Empire without the Emperor. And it could take a long time to die. But without the Emperor holding it all together, like, he relied on fear. And the books really do a great job of describing how immediately after Endor, a few people who were captains of a Star Destroyer were like, fuck it, I'm out. I'm going to take my Star Destroyer and conquer a small planet and start my own group. And then as things get worse, more and more warlords break off. There's like 30 warlords over the course of the books. And some of them get fucking huge and almost challenge the Empire later on because they have cool shit like Warlord Zinj and Dala and all this shit. Like, The Emperor was the thing that kept the Empire together, and without him, it just doesn't work. So I totally agree that the Empire might still not exist, but there is absolutely, positively no way that the Empire is still the dominant force in the galaxy after 30, almost, like at least 20 years.
But the Rebel Alliance is still also.
It's not the Rebel Alliance.
What are they officially known as in 7?
I don't even fucking remember, but they're not the Rebellion because the Rebellion formed the New Republic government.
Yes, actually.
But wasn't there some shit about them acting because they weren't associated?
Yes, because the New Republic, that's why I referenced the Back to War before, because the New Republic is like, oh, we can't fight these guys. We're just going to make peace. We're going to sign a peace treaty with them and then not fight them. You know when the New Republic and the Empire signed a peace treaty? When the New Republic had the Empire on the outer rim in like a few dozen systems was all the Empire had left. And the Empire was like, you know what? Fuck it. We're not building anymore. We can't build any more super weapons. We're running out of ships. People are dying. And even then, it took one of the most famous Imperial characters, Captain Paleon, who is at that point Grand Admiral or Admiral, to be like, fuck it, I'm taking over this shit. We're going to just be peaceful, and we're going to adhere to what the good ideals of the Empire were. We're going to sign a peace treaty with the New Republic because they won. And clearly that's not the case here. The New Republic was losing. There's two scenarios here, because the New Republic has a peace treaty with whatever. I can't even remember the faction. Either the New Republic was losing, in which case the Empire building this super weapon never lets them win because they didn't let the rebellion get away. That's what the whole point of the Death Star was. Like, what? Are you telling me the Empire would ever sign a peace treaty to delay? No, they would just keep killing them. Or the Empire was losing, in which case it's almost impossible to justify Starkiller Base.
Yeah, they never really were too clear, were they, on how
you do have a good point for this one.
Is.
Like, I don't see how these things mesh. Like, what scenario is like the New Republic, we're not going to attack them? The only reason the New Republic lets anything, it's just the Empire. It's First Order, that's what it's called. They're just the Empire. They're stormtroopers. The only reason they let them live is because the New Republic seems to think they're going to lose this war, in which case no one in the fucking universe is going to stand by and let a dozen X-Wing pilots go fight Starkiller Base. If somehow the Empire hasn't completely won in Episode 8 or hasn't had the whole galaxy rise up and attack them, I can't take it anymore. Because the whole reason the whole thing didn't go to shit when the Alderaan was destroyed was because it was like the Empire was already on top, and they just showed that they can blow up a planet. Right. You don't fucking rebel in that scenario. You don't, certainly not openly.
I'm kind of under the impression 8 they're going to deal with the fact that the entire leadership has just been destroyed. We may deal with the fact that, there is no organizing body right now.
In which case, every single planet that has a fleet turtles up. Or starts making deals with the Empire, and then the Empire wins. But the flip side of that is that Starkiller Base was just destroyed, in which case there's going to be leadership. Like, I get that it's fractured, but then you have the Warlord scenario, where instead of the New Republic, there's like 10 little republics, and then there's still the First Order. And I guess they're gobbling them up, even though Starkiller Base is destroyed. Like, it still comes back to the economics of it, where this project would cost so much money. You don't have the Empire's literally bottomless coffers. You can't afford to rebuild everything after that.
We might end up with a scenario kind of like the way Episode 2 handled it, where it was almost an unseen villain for most of the movie.
So you're telling me that Snoke has basically spent the last 20 years since the Emperor died building up these resources to resurge and come out, and he's hidden this for 20 years.
Look, I have no clue what's going on with Snoke. That's the part I'll concede that I'm very confused and concerned about for the new trilogy.
Going back to
Snoke's,
4,
Samuel
he's
Jackson
just the Emperor again.
It's sort of, but he doesn't seem to fit.
He's not. I swear. if they try to make it Mace Windu, I'll actually walk out of the theater.
Wait, hold on. Do people actually think it's Mace Windu?
Yeah,
I'm
there are
sure-
people who believe it.
Some people do, for sure.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's Obi-Wan, right? I'm just fucking with you.
No,
I've
because
never heard- I've never
Freeman,
heard
it can't
Mace
be
Windu
Obi-Wan
there
because
before.
Rey is Obi-Wan's granddaughter.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that one too.
Blat.
Which is so funny because one of the last pieces of Star Wars fiction that came out before the EU was gone was a story about Obi-Wan arriving on Tatooine. And he actually ends up helping this small family who's like a woman and her child. Because he's trying to settle into being a hermit and he can't really do it because he's used to doing so much more. And at the very end, he reveals himself to her as a Jedi by accident, just as he has paid for her to leave the planet because she's basically getting assaulted by these fucking raiders all the time. And he totally shuts her down when she hits on him. And then he goes off and is a hermit after that.
Damn.
Like, and then for them to be like, oh, and then everyone's like, oh, it's actually, he's Rey's granddaughter, or Rey's his granddaughter. I'm like, fuck you. I just read a story where that couldn't be the case.
And then it was. Because people love the love story. It's true.
Why do we have to drag Obi-Wan back into this shit?
Yo, he didn't even want to be in Star Wars in the first
I don't mean that, and you
Alec
know
Guinness?
place.
Oh my god.
Poor Alec Guinness. He was like, what is this nerd shit? I don't even want to be in it.
Give me my money. Let me get out of here.
Yeah, actually.
I just
Fuck you. I was in Bridge Over River. Yeah, Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Yeah, that movie's great.
That was a great movie. That was a really good movie.
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it.
It's an old World War II movie where a bunch of British soldiers are captured by the Japanese and they're being forced to build a bridge over the River Kwai. But they start getting Stockholm Syndrome for the bridge. Or one of them does.
Yeah, the Alec Guinness does.
Because all the British guys are like, we're going to build the bridge and then we're going to fucking destroy it and fuck with them. And then he's like, no, but my bridge is great.
My
I
bridge
should
is
watch with my
great.
grandfather. He loves war movies.
Yeah, that movie's
Dude.
really good, though.
He's in that, and he's in Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, that movie's... Yes, he is! Fuck, that
Yeah.
movie's so good.
That movie's also extremely good. Like, it's
That's
so
one of those
slow.
super classics. It is so
Yeah.
slow. Oh my
It's
god,
so slow. You get lost in the desert, but then you like you learn
Dude, it's like
about words
okay,
like
you get lost in the desert and fuck.
but then you hear words like super racist words like wog, and you're like, holy shit, what is this?
Dude, they fucking made it. I'm so glad movies like that exist because fuck you, that was the language back then.
No, it was like I'm not bashing on
No, I
it
know
at
you're not.
all.
I know you're not. It is weird to hear, but it's like, fuck, you couldn't. It's so sad that movies like that, like that's the kind of movie you look at and say, couldn't make that today.
You couldn't. It's
Yeah.
true. You would hear that shit, and then
So
all of a sudden,
sad.
all the Middle Eastern people would be really salty that it came
Oh my
out,
fucking
and that
god.
they used the word, even though no one even knows that word today. Not a
Holy
single
smokes.
person.
Yeah, you're not even wrong.
I don't think I've ever heard it before today.
Let's go back
Actually-
to episode 7 though.
Episode
Alright,
7,
yeah.
real
So-
quick.
All that
we
racism
should
in
wrap
episode
up.
7 towards those Gungan.
So I'm gonna jump ahead to two of the questions I wanted to ask you.
All
One
right,
is,
let's do it.
do you
Yeah, we
think 7 is worse than the prequels?
Some of them, yeah. I don't really know if that's fair.
Okay, well, like of what,
I'd say as a
which of the
Star
prequels-
Wars, I'd say I liked 3 probably more, and maybe 2. Probably not the first one. But even some of the ideas of the first one are better than 7. Like that's the problem. They're really weak. Like I can, from a filmmaking standpoint, 7 is probably better than all of them, or at least 1 and 2. But like they don't act it like 1 and 2 and 3 don't actively like. I was already a Star Wars fan when 1, 2, and 3, like especially when 3 came out. I was already getting into it, and I was like, and it didn't ring the alarm bells for me that fucking 7 does. That probably speaks to my age a little bit, but I mean, as a film, I'm guessing 7 is better than at least 1 and 2.
All right.
But I like the ideas in the prequels. So every prequel movie has better. If I had the building blocks of all 4 movies, I could build the worst movie. The worst movie would come out of 7. If
you
I
definitely argue that the execution is probably the weakest part of the prequels, not
yeah,
the content.
if you let me try to rebuild 3 movie like an episode 1 even, let's say, against 7, I could probably take the pieces of 1 and build a better movie than 7 pretty easily. But with what we have, 7's probably better technically, but it just it's so hard for me to sit in and enjoy.
Which leads me to my next question.
Yep.
Are you going to watch 8 when it comes out?
I mean, if nothing else, I'm going to get dragged to it by Val, so it's an irrelevant question. I mean, I have to know. The real question is, after I see 8, will I see 9, I think. I think if 8
changes what 7 did.
If 8 can somehow make it recover, and like I'm going to go into 8 with these low expectations. I can't physically get rid of them. And I think it, again, I know I keep going back to Rogue One, but Rogue One I went in with really low expectations. I really did. I took the hurt I felt after 7, the genuine hurt I felt, and I came out of... I was crying by the end of Rogue One in the theater. I was so happy that I loved this Star Wars movie. I'm not even kidding. You can ask Val. I was sitting in my chair almost weeping. I was so thankful that I had this amazing Star Wars movie come out when I was old enough to appreciate it more than when I was a kid. And even with that, I think I'm still going to go into 8 with a lot of the negativity I felt off of 7 because it's the direct sequel. If they can make me recover again, then I'll go see 9. But they have there's a lot there for me to overcome to really learn to love this movie. And I'll go see 8, but I'll be able to report after whether or not I'm seeing 9. And I know I'll probably get dragged to it again because I know Val doesn't have nearly the feelings towards it that I do. But I genuinely might, if I went into 8 and I still hated it, I might be like, no, I'll drive you to the theater even, but I'm not going to see episode 9. I will not do it.
What?
So that I think that answers the question as much as I can.
Like,
that's what I wanted to hear.
Has been thrown Star Wars.
All right, that was a good interview. We'll call you back in the morning to tell you about this.
Yeah, right.
I feel like this is going to end up being another we could just make topics off of this.
Yeah, we could have a part 2 of the discussion because we didn't even discuss I had a couple notes in here and I'm like, fuck it, we don't need to discuss any of these. We got enough rolling through here.
No, keep going. What?
Oh no, I was talking about characters, but you can make that a whole episode about whether certain characters are executed well or not. How did you feel about the returning cast? But
this is a topic we can really go on and on about.
Short answer: all wasted.
Blat.
Long answer: find out. If we can't think of a topic for maybe next week.
Topic: why we don't like Rey.
Damn.
We'll just turn it into oh my god, we'll be like CinemaSins where they have blocks of 10 podcasts where they have the same topic. Like they did this thing where they had a movie showdown, or every year that they were alive, they went over the movies that came out, whether they were good or terrible. And then at the end of 40 podcasts, they then did a March Madness bracket for 2 months of them all. Fuck, we need an overarching thing to do
so
that.
We gotta name the episode this will be Star Wars 7 Rant Part 1. We'll come back in Part 2 next time we bring this up.
Or it'll just be the Star Wars Episode 7 Throwdown, just like the Final Fantasy one, and then we could just have later parts.
Wait, quick question. What is this episode number? Because I've been losing track.
I believe it's 7.
Oh, it's so fitting. Of course. It's so fitting.
Of
course. Wait,
I just
you know what? I didn't even think of it as I said it. Let's check.
Watch us be wrong.
Let's make sure. Well,
no, I think it is 7.
No, it's 7, not counting the Magic the Gathering special, which wasn't supposed to be its own episode, so it counts.
Hell yeah.
It counts as this is episode 7.
Fuck me.
Perfect.
Hopefully.
All right.
Man, have we been doing this for over 2 months now?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
We still have the same 5 listeners.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, right.
Look at the whole 99 views on episode 6.
Hey man,
it's okay. Honestly, this one's gonna pick it up a lot because all the Star Warsians on my channel.
Yeah, your Star Wars channel, your
But this is how the podcast
guys.
gets started. We get the podcast, like the Star Wars people.
The stank wars.
Get them interested in our weekly bullshit.
Anyway, why don't we call it a day here?
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I know we don't want to go into deeper topics. So,
All right, so
I'm sorry I was talking so much. Just
no, this was your episode to talk. We've all had our own.
Yeah, we've
big
all
episodes.
had ours.
Our character.
We had our character arcs. Yeah, we had our character arcs. It was your turn.
Okay, well, I don't know what our topic is or anything, but thank you all for listening to the TNT podcast this week. Maybe we'll continue with Star Wars next week. Maybe we won't. We'll find out what kind of topics we can think of. Cause
wait, are we doing closing stuff? Are we doing that?
Honestly, I don't think we had any Q&A. And
No.
oh
Real
yeah,
quick,
I guess.
I'm playing Persona 5 this week. That's all you need to know.
Oh my god.
Still, holy shit, dude. Holy
Dude,
fuck.
I've been busy. Like I took like a good 2-week break where I didn't play it. Which
Yeah,
was coincidentally
Freeman.
one of
I
our
kept
weeks was
I
when
kept
we were on the
trying to hit
podcast.
Freeman
We're
up
not
when
doing
I was
podcast.
off last week, Tyler, and he was just
Damn.
like, "Nah, man, I'm busy all the
I was
time."
busy.
It's like, Freeman, let's play Magic. Nope.
I'm
Nope.
busy.
Freeman, you up for playing Magic this weekend?
Shit's
Nope.
going on.
Right.
But tomorrow's the return of D&D as well. Or actually, we didn't take any time off, so there's no return.
We didn't take
at all.
any.
The weekly return of D&D.
There we go.
Yeah. Even though, yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, the we're kind of in the downward spiral of Fable, and then we get to pick up Tyler's game.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did we? I feel bad because I forgot to ask you if you were free Monday, or was it Luigi that's free Monday?
So Luigi's the one that's free on Monday.
That's
so
right.
I'm not
I felt-
offended. Tim already told me you guys were testing out the game. I didn't really think twice when he
No,
mentioned that.
but
Like, I was
also
testing it.
Tuesday, Freeman's free, and Luigi had class on Tuesday. Or does he raid on Tuesday?
I
This
thought
is
we
a
played on
conversation
Monday.
for-
I think he raids. He doesn't have
No, we
class
do,
right
but
now.
we can remember it was always Monday or Tuesday.
No, I couldn't remember when we were. Oh no, we played it on Monday though.
Listeners, fun story. We were running another D&D
Yeah.
campaign, but Luigi and I were never free on the same day. So we had the idea that
Yeah.
Luigi and I would be split personalities for
Oh
the same
Jesus!
character, depending on which day our D&D session was going to meet. And that ended terribly. I didn't even
Where
pick
Luigi
up my
turned into
character's
this
persona.
super racist Japanese
For anyone
rice
who missed that
salesman.
part, he was the shitty walk guy.
He
A
was a
shitty
shitty
walk.
walk guy.
Tear
But
down
did
my
Tim?
shitty wall.
Did Tim tell you about his character on Monday though?
Okay, so podcast listeners, if you've ever watched the movie The Other Guys,
Christ.
so we're playing in like a Blade Runner-ish futuristic cop thing, and I modeled my character off of Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock from The Other Guys.
This
So,
motherfucker rolled consistently over 15 on his jump rolls.
yo, oh my god, no. You didn't explain why. Freeman, we are level 3. For this test session, we were all level 3. I put maximum points into jump, and then because I was a barbarian,
Barbarian,
I turned my speed into jump as well.
Oh, man.
So I had a plus 11 jump. So even when I rolled a 7, I got an 18 for jump. So instead of moving everywhere during combat, I would do sick jumps.
Dude.
And then
fucking shit. Oh
me,
my
Val,
God.
and Leslie, we were sent out to arrest three druggies, producers. And when we got there, their door had been kicked in, and there was a guy with a shotgun at point at the door and a guy holding a pistol to one of the drug guys' heads. I kicked in the door again, darted in. We were all fighting. I eventually executed the guy with the shotgun. Then I threw the guy with the pistol out the window of a 40-story building. Then the third guy who had been in there with the drug room, he had a syringe of basically Hulk serum that we didn't know about, and he was hiding in the bathroom, and he burst out of the bathroom in Hulk mode, and I knocked him down with one punch because I rolled a 20, and then I rolled a 20 to confirm.
Holy
Like,
shit.
dude, Tim's rolls were so busted that night.
No, it wasn't.
I rolled so low.
The only busted roll was the double 20 to fucking knock the guy out in Hulk
Dude,
mode in one shot.
holy
Everything else was pretty
shit.
average, honestly.
How was everyone
Yeah.
else holding up with their characters?
The dog got fucked up.
Leslie has a dog
Leslie
because she's a
has a
fucking
dog.
druid again.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
man.
dog got kicked real hard.
The dog got shot and he got kicked.
Did the dog have a name?
Val is playing Spencer Reed from
Yeah.
what's it called? Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds, yeah.
She's just playing the
And,
nerdy
like-
guy who's really pissed off at me because I'm such a fucking. See, Freeman, I'm in it for the fame, baby.
Dude, he fucking threw the second guy out the window.
It was the fastest way to deal with him, man.
No.
Tyler, you can't even get upset because I told you
I'm
what I was
not
building my
upset.
character
No,
off
I'm not
of.
upset at all. Like, I'm serious. Like, I was dying the whole time. I'm just like, how does your character expect to bounce back from this? But not
Dude,
like it matters, though, because it was a one-shot.
You don't fucking
Yeah,
bounce back because you're just the champ, because the people are behind you.
Because the people...
Freeman,
you get arrested.
Fucking the guy with the shotgun rolled a 1 and shot through the wall and apparently shot a woman in the hallway, and she saw me deck out the fucking Red Hulk. Immediately, the folklore about me being super badass spreads through the city, and I'm just like the major hero here.
DM chiming in here, that never happened.
Yes, it did. I asked you specifically when I punched the guy. I'm like,
she
does
see it. No, she saw
this
it.
universe.
But you being the hero, I don't... That's
Why not?
I mean, why not?
Just a hero who beats people in one punch.
This chick was literally dying on the floor.
And she saw me kill the guy who was running
that
towards her as Hulk
the
mode.
fact that she's still like, what the fuck? You like, she saw you like
Tyler, you get
throw
shot
this
by a
guy
guy
out the window.
Tyler,
blow this
no,
guy's
she didn't see
brains
that.
out.
She didn't see that either.
She was in the hallway. Of course she saw that.
Yeah, but you said she got shot through the wall and then she was in pain. She only saw me. The Hulk burst into the hallway, and that's where I knocked him out. So we were right in front of her.
The dude shot through the door, right?
And you're
like,
telling me in
was
pain.
open?
She was writhing in pain and staring in there
Possibly.
at us.
Yeah.
No, I imagine that she had
she was
tried
actually
to
writhing
run.
in pain.
Yeah,
like,
and then she only looked up once we burst into the hall. Why?
Because she's fucking scared, dude.
Tyler,
what
I'm a fucking cop. I
like
have
how we
a
weren't gonna have
badge.
a closing segment this week.
After all this, it's like, I'm a fucking cop. After you, like, the dude was on the ground, you put the gun to his head and you just blow his brains out.
Yeah, because I'm a fucking cop.
It doesn't play by the rules.
Samuel L. Jackson and fucking
I'm
The
not
Rock didn't
mad.
follow the rules. They went for the
God,
bushes.
I'm not mad. I'm just...
Aim for the bushes, baby.
I'm just saying you weren't the hero. A lot of people are upset with what you did.
Tyler, you don't understand. If it came to it, my character would legitimately dive out a window to fucking land on a guy. Just to be
40
like...
stories high.
Dude, if there was a guy getting away and I had no other way, I would dive out. Like, okay, if we're on our way down, oh, the elevator got stuck on the 5th floor. Tim, we're too high up. No, we're not. We're never too high up. And then I just bam out through the window.
A nat 20 would not save you.
How do you know?
I'll tell you right, because I would know. Because I'm God.
Tyler, fuck you.
Like, you wouldn't be able to fucking...
Tyler, what else are you doing next week?
Element. What am I doing next week? I'm playing Pokemon.
Okay.
Heart Gold. And, I'm literally just trying to get ups for fucking Red, so I can beat his ass.
And
then, and then I'm not doing anything else, I think. I think that's pretty much... I think I have stuff going on this weekend. I don't know. I'm trying to get my chops up for this neckbeard convention.
Oh, right.
Neckbeard convention?
Yeah, neckbeard convention. You know that thing that I told everybody about last year?
Freeman wasn't here at this. No, he was. He had just started because it was after my next. There's a little neckbeard convention that happens at Tyler's hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, you were telling us some of the horror stories about this.
Yeah. Not viewers, listeners. So like, I work as a security officer, and I work at like a hotel, and like they do live action role playing and board games and stuff.
The good stuff.
Half of that's cool.
It's cool. Like, here's the problem though. Like, herein lies the problem, right? Like, the security guys that are there, they're not nice people. They're walking around with tactical vests on, with knives and shit. I'm like, dude, you can't just be walking around with like that. And they're like, what if someone comes in with a gun?
Oh my god.
And I'm like, no.
All right, we can
here.
save horror stories for another podcast.
Yeah, I know. I was just mentioning, and just the showering. It was literally those two. Like, the security can chill, and then I just need more showering. That's it.
This weekend is the long 4th of July weekend. I have 4 days off, which is cool, so I'm going to try to get a lot of recording done.
Amazing.
Because, sadly, things that I'll explain after the podcast didn't go through. But, no, it's not a big deal. But,
I don't know.
I know, that's why I'm going to explain after the podcast, because Steven knows what I'm talking about. yeah, so I'm just going to try to get some recording done because me and Val are still trying to clean up the apartment because we have a ton of... It is a huge mess in here, but I'm hoping to take the days off because by the end of the day, it's like, oh, I also have to do mountains of paperwork to like move all my shit over to Ohio, so...
At least
By the
we
end of
got
the-
Magic Mondays, though.
Yeah, Magic Mondays return on Monday. Me and Freeman recorded a bunch of Commander games yesterday, and we're already looking at vintage lists for 2 weeks from now. And with the long weekend, maybe we'll try to get some extra Magic recording, try to get Luigi in or something.
Definitely.
Because I know you have the 4th off, and I have the 3rd and 4th off, so...
Lucky
We'll make it work.
bastards.
Yeah, I know.
Having real jobs.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm lucky.
Have to work.
I got Martin Luther King Day off at my old job, and then my new job didn't take that off so that they could have the 3rd and 4th off.
Damn.
Yeah, this is my first year ever getting paid for July 4th. It used to just be unpaid day off.
Oh, yeah, you're finally hired so you can have
Yeah.
holiday pay. Yeah, boy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
Real job.
I only have to work 3 days next week, get paid for a full week. Anyway, thank you all very much for listening. So we're done.
We're done.
So thanks for listening, everyone. Much appreciated. We'll be back
Yeah.
next week with the TNT podcast, so we'll see you guys then.
See you soon.
See ya.